mic was off the whole time. Okay, excellent. I had such an enthusiastic introduction, but that's okay. Let's do it again. Everybody, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you with me. Welcome back to the Daily Cooking Show, to the Daily Cooking Stream. If you're watching this live, it is 5 p.m. EST, December 15th, and I see that we have all of my lovely sous chefs joining me today. So welcome on into Eskia, welcome on into Shark Dog, Shai Chica, Yuko Nami, of course, Tarina, Babko, Godzilla's Two Dads Kissing, Trash Can Cat Mom, and so many more. It is lovely to have all of you guys with me. So before we begin talking about anything today, I made some improvements to the lighting. So maybe the front camera is going to be a little bit less fuzzy, maybe the stove camera is going to be a little bit less fuzzy. Either way, I would love to hear what you guys think about the new lighting, if you guys have noticed anything, and if there are any issues that come up. So please let me know. Pay attention to the stream, pay attention to how it looks. It'll be really, really appreciated. The lighting looks so good, your face looks amazing. Thank you. Excellent, great, I'm happy to hear it. I got another light. I'm really working on improving the setup this time around, so please be patient with me. Okay, so guys, let's go ahead and talk about the dish. Let's talk about the dishes that we will be making today. Let's talk about some of the food that we'll be making. Everybody, today I wanted something hearty. I wanted to go all out today. We're going to be doing 3 different things. We're going to be making camarones a la Diablo, which just means Diablo shrimp, just devil shrimp. This is a really, really simple dish. It was inspired by Rick Bayless's. If you are familiar with him, he makes some really excellent Mexican cooking videos online. We're going to be using basically his framework for the camarones a la Diablo. And it's going to be these delicious shrimp in a red chili sauce. And it's going to be excellent. It's going to be super, super yummy. Okay, next, I wanted to do something that is a lot more on the simpler side. I wanted to do something that is not always super heavily seasoned, but I just wanted to be executed really well. I wanted to do a dish of mushrooms and poblano peppers just covered in a mountain of cheddar cheese and put into the broiler. I had left over a block of cheddar cheese that I wanted to go ahead and use up. I was passing by the store. I saw that there were some amazing poblanos, which does not happen to me very often. Poblanos are one of my favorite peppers, if not favorite pepper overall. And so we're going to be doing the mushrooms and the peppers, and it's going to be covered up in cheese, and it's going to be super delicious. And alongside all of that, my friends, we will of course make some delicious homemade corn tortillas. I'm not really going to be eating these like a taco. I'm just going to create like the saucy shrimp. I'm going to create like this mushroom and pepper covered by the cheese, and then maybe we can just go ahead and scoop some of it up. So it's going to be really lovely, and it's going to be really, really tasty today. So everybody, let's go ahead and begin with all of the different ingredients. And Foxy Princess, as you know, there is no such thing as a recipe here, because everything that we're doing is by technique. It is by feel, and I'm teaching you guys how to understand all the different steps. So let's talk about this lovely plate of vegetables that I have right here, among other things. So I have 4 poblano peppers. Now, I love poblanos. Poblanos are super, super delicious. They're really vegetal. They have much more flavor than a green bell pepper, and they also have a little bit of heat. As far as different green chilies go, poblanos are almost impossible to beat in my mind. So 4 green poblanos. That's what we're going to be using for today, and we're going to be charring it and getting it nice and smoky. Also, welcome on a noodles bowl and honey. Next, I have 1 big old onion, and this is going to go mostly just into the sauce for the Diablo shrimp. Also, Shinny does things. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Next, I have a nice block of cheddar cheese here. So, guys, even though cheddar cheese is not immediately the cheese that people think of when they think of, you know, traditional Mexican food, guys, so many different cheeses especially are interchangeable. Cheddar cheese is one of those really nice examples. I believe it's like queso chihuahua or something that's almost identical to cheddar cheese. Either way, I had a block of leftover cheddar cheese. I wanted to use it up, and thus it's going to go into the mushrooms and the poblanos. D. Earhart, that is okay. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Next, I just have a couple of limes for garnish, of course, because you can't really have Mexican food without limes. And then everybody, a nice little head of garlic, and that is going to go into the sauce for today. I'm just going to get my cheese thrown back into the fridge so that we can keep it nice and cold, nice and refrigerated. Okay, next up, my friends, I have a nice big bowl of white button mushrooms. Now, oftentimes, people, they don't really get too excited about white button mushrooms. Everybody gives shiitakes love. Everybody gives oyster mushrooms love. I picked these mushrooms because they were cheap. because they were on sale at my local supermarket. And so I picked them up. I got them 2 for $4, which is for my area pretty good. And I'm going to be transforming them and teaching you guys how to really, really beautifully saute a mushroom. We're going to get it nice and meaty. We're going to get it nice and savory, nice and delicious. And Shark Dog, I can't say I've actually ever made black garlic before. I don't actually own a dehydrator. Okay, and now my friends, this is the most important part for today, the spices, but not just the spices, specifically the dried chilies that we will be using for today. The heart and soul of Mexican cooking, my friends, it's not just about the lime, it's not just about the cilantro, it is about the dried chilies. It is not about using a little jar of mysterious chili powder of unknown origins. There are so many different varieties of dried chilies in Mexican cuisine, right? You have chipotles, you have anchos, you have pasillas, you have puyas, and these, in my case, are gonna be guajillos. Guajillos, the traditional chili for camarones a la Diablo, and they're going to be really nice, they're going to be nice and fruity, they're going to be a little bit spicy, and they're going to be really, really delicious in the final product. The next two things that I have here, it was time for me to stock up on spices, so that's why I have so much going on. I have some cumin seeds, and then I also have some Mexican oregano, and we're going to be toasting it and grinding it up ourselves. But yes, everybody, for today, whole dried chilies. These are guajillo chilies. Okay, super, super important. They have so much flavor, and we'll talk about how to shop for them. We'll talk about what we got to do with them in just a little bit of time. Okay, that's gonna go behind me. For the homemade corn tortillas, my friends, as always, we just need a bag of masa harina. Masa harina is just nixtamalized corn flour. Okay, typically the most common brand that you would see be sold in stores is Maseca. This is from a brand that I really like called Macienda, and I'm gonna be making some red tortillas out of it today. I really want to be able to get a perfect puff. I want to keep on trying my hand at tortillas, and so that's why we're doing these bad boys again. So 1 bag of nixtamalized corn flour. It can't just be any corn flour. It has to be nixtamalized. It has to be masa harina, and again, the common brand that you would be buying is Maseca. And in my fridge, I have some shrimp that I thawed. We'll talk about why we should be buying frozen shrimp, as well as some fresh cilantro, because you can't have Mexican food without cilantro. So that's all of the different ingredients for today. If everybody's ready, I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you from everybody watching, while I catch my breath and have a little sip of water because I've been running out of breath for the last few minutes. Okay, so a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. Today and next week will be streams, of course, and then afterwards I'm going to be taking a week off for the holidays. So you want to catch this one, you want to catch the next week's stream, and then the week after there will not be a stream. Next up, my friends, at any point in time, if you have any cooking questions whatsoever, please remember that you are welcome to ask me. It can be about this dish, it can be about anything that you would like involving food, because my goal is to teach you guys how to cook at home and get comfortable cooking at home. Then, if you would like to support the show, the best way to do so, Patreon. I turned off all of the ads on Twitch. The money from the Patreon goes back into investing into the stream. We recently dropped a little bit of money on some new lighting, and so to help continue to support it, Patreon or tip and donate. So, we have a lot that we need to get done for today. We need to actually make the salsa roja. We have to make the chili sauce out of the guajillos. We're also going to need to char the poblanos, saute the mushrooms, make the tortillas, sear the shrimp, cook it all together, and it's going to be delicious. We have a lot of work coming up ahead of us. And so, we're going to begin with none other than my guajillo chilies. Okay? Again, for a salsa like this, for a red chili salsa, guajillo chilies are going to be your chili of preference. They're a little bit spicy, but they have like that delicious fruitiness to them. And so, we're going to begin breaking them down. Next stream, can you do a big Christmas feast? Honestly, Shark Dog, that would be a good idea. Let's do something Christmassy themed next week. That'll be fun. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this bag opened up. Come on, out you go, please. I neglected to do this before the stream, and so you are now watching me somehow struggle with the task of using scissors. Those chilies do look tasty. So, everybody, really, really important. When it comes to buying chilies, when it comes to buying dried chilies, you actually want them to be a little bit leathery. You don't want them to be crunchy necessarily. You want them to be nice and flexible. Now, in my case, you can see that these guajillos, nice and leathery. If they just immediately snap like this one did, it's not necessarily the freshest. And so the same principle goes for buying basically any dried fruit that you can think of. So I'm gonna be using, I wanna say 3 chilies for today, maybe 4 guajillo chilies, something like this. Yeah, you want them to have a little bit of give. That's right, Askia. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and bundle it up, package it, and throw it, just to go ahead and get this out of sight and out of mind. Remember guys, whenever we're done with an ingredient at home, you always, always, always just want to clean up as you go, okay? And by the way, not a sponsored stream or anything, but these bag savers, I really love these things, as opposed to using like chip clips or something, because then you're just able to go ahead, put them in, and push it all the way through. And it's a very, very nice tight seal that's gonna stop bugs from getting in. Okay, I can go ahead and put that away. So, we're going to need to trim these up, and we wanna get all of the seeds out of them. It is generally recommended that you go ahead and put on some gloves anytime that you're gonna be handling some spicy chilies, just because you don't want the capsaicin, the part that's spicy, to rub off on your fingertips and your fingernails. It's not exactly as good as a vacuum sealer, Serena. It's not a perfect vac seal, but it is convenient for something like this. But vacuum sealing can be a little bit wasteful sometimes. It's a whole thing. Okay, as always, when we cook at home, guys, I have a waste bowl ready to go. I'm just gonna trim off the top of the chili, and then I'm just going to take my scissors. This is where kitchen scissors come in handy, although a knife would be just fine. It's just like a little bit clunky. We're gonna go ahead and open this up, and we're gonna get all of these seeds out. The seeds, they tend to be a little bit bitter, and they tend to add a little bit of unnecessary sweetness, unnecessary spiciness, excuse me, into the final dish. So we do not need them. So open it up, clean it out, just like so. And we're gonna do these with each of the dried chilies for today. And by the way, my friends, you are welcome to diversify your choice of chilies for something like this. With just the guajillos, we're going to get a nice, beautiful red color out of it. But if you want a little bit of extra smokiness, consider something like a chipotle, right? Those are gonna be lovely in something like this as well. Okay, open it up. Again, guys, seeds out. Excellent. And then in the meantime, I'm actually going to start preheating a little pan. We're gonna get these chilies nice and properly toasted, my friends. And toasting the chilies is gonna give them a lot of warmth. It's gonna make them nice and delicious. Okay, so I'm just gonna heat up a pan. I'm using a carbon steel pan for you today. Late had dishes to do. That's okay, Yoon Povi. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you nonetheless. So once again, opening it up, taking my scissors to it, and getting those seeds out. If anybody has any questions, now would be an excellent time to ask. Although I should have probably tied my hair up before I did this. My bangs are getting a little bit too long, and so I gotta go ahead and get those trimmed up at some point soon. Chef, I missed what you said about the seeds. Yeah, they just add unnecessary spiciness and also on occasion some bitterness as well. They also don't blend up the nicest when we do get to making the chili sauce itself. Okay, there you go, there you go. Excellent. All of those seeds out, and the ribs, you'll see that they naturally come off as well. Wonderful. Everybody, guess what? My chilies are nice and prepped for today. They're all set, they're all ready to go. So here's what's going to happen. The first step is we're going to toast them until they get nice and aromatic and they start blistering. Then we're going to submerge them in a little bit of hot tap water, just so that they can go ahead and soften. And the process of soaking them is going to take about 20 to 30 minutes in total. That's why we're doing this so early and so ahead of time. And then we're going to blend the sauce up. We're going to blend it with cumin, with oregano. We're going to be blending it with an onion, with some garlic as well. We might do a little bit of chicken bouillon powder. I don't happen to have chicken broth on hand, but chicken bouillon powder used all the time in a Mexican kitchen at home. Okay, so these bad boys all set, all ready to go. And I'm just going to make sure that I have a bowl that can properly accommodate them. Something large enough that they'll be able to submerge in. And once you toast them, guys, you're going to see that they get a lot more flexible. So they'll be able to fit into the bowl just fine. Now, this is a really, really beautiful carbon steel pan that I'm gonna be using for today. You don't have to use a carbon steel pan. Honestly, the process of toasting chilies, you can use anything that you would like. We just wanna go ahead and get it nice and hot. One question What are the essential spices you just need to have on the ready? Shark Dog, I'm gonna make this list short for you. The first two, cumin and oregano. Cumin gets used in almost every single existing cuisine. It gets used all over the world. It gets used in Middle Eastern cuisine. It gets used in Latin American cuisine. It gets used in Indian food. It gets used in Chinese cooking, especially with the Uyghur food up north. Cumin is just absolutely global and international. The next thing that you're going to need is oregano, dried oregano, because I at least make Italian food quite often as well as Mexican food. I think you also need coriander seeds. They add a very nice herbaceousness. Black pepper, always nice to have on hand. A nice, good quality, sweet smoked paprika, also very, very useful to have on hand. And I mean, those would be like the bare minimum. Those would be the basics, because I feel like they're so universal and they're used all over the place. Okay, so my friends, I'm going to get these chilies on. We're gonna throw them on. We're gonna get them flesh side down, or rather the skin side down. Do I have a favorite and least favorite dish? Shinny, I don't really have a favorite and least favorite dish because I like anything that's done well, right? When things are poorly conceived, then I don't like them, right? But I have a tolerance for some things more than others. So, chilies on, and now my friends, what we can really do is just flatten them. We can use a spatula just to flatten it ever so slightly. I know that we can't really see that well on the stove. It's very, very dark here at the moment, so I do apologize. And you're going to notice, guys, as we cook it, it's going to slightly blister, and it's going to get slightly lighter in its color, okay? And the smell of the toasted chilies, my friends, it is wonderful. You can see it's beginning to lighten up a little bit. So we're just flattening it. We're just ensuring as much contact as possible. Move it around. You guys, honestly, I think it's a little bit difficult to burn them. You have to really kind of go out of your way to burn chilies like this. Okay. Also, OMG Pete, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. What are my pronouns, Idamar VGC? Good question. Professionally, she, her. Personally, it is. So it doesn't matter at this point. At this point in my life, guys, I honestly don't care about it too much. Okay, wonderful. And guys, the aroma of these toasted chilies is excellent. And of course, if you go too far and if you char it too much, it's going to get really, really bitter and really, really scorched. But again, you really have to want to achieve that. I'm just gonna get in there. I'm gonna give it a little flip. I'm giving it a little flip. I'm giving it a little flip. Come on. Well, I don't remember what was the original side now, actually. I think it was that side. There we go. And flatten it and keep it toasting. Honestly, guys, if you undershoot the toasting and you don't toast it enough, it'll be fine. You have nothing to really worry about with something like this. Again, but a little bit of toasting just brings out the warmth. It brings out the aroma of the chilies. It's for the same reason that we toast spices. It changes them a little bit. We lose some of the lighter end flavors. And instead, we just get a much more deep, earthy, not deepy. I don't know what that was. Chili flavor throughout everything else. Okay, I can hear it crackling. Excellent. And you can see, guys, as it is warming up, as it is heating up, it is just getting much more flexible. Get that guy back on. And give that another second. I do think this guajillo is already ready to pull off. I can smell it getting a little bit charred. And these are guajillo chili, Shark Dog. Guajillo. Okay, guys, my chilies, nice and properly toasted. I'm gonna go ahead and get them off. I'm gonna go ahead and get them out of here. And then just to make the soaking process a little bit easier, I'm just going to go ahead and give them a little cut. I'm just gonna cut them up into slightly smaller pieces. It's a little bit hot, so be careful. Just cut them up, cut them up. And this is just, again, gonna allow them to properly submerge under some hot tap water. You don't really need boiling water or anything, just hot tap water is gonna be just fine as long as you do it for long enough. So, chilies, excellent. Next, hot tap water, beautiful. Gonna let that run for a second for it to get nice and hot, of course. I have some very, very hot tap water. I'm very, very blessed to have this kitchen. And we're going to get it nice and covered, nice and submerged. And then, my friends, because the chilies have a tendency to go ahead and float up to the top, all that we're going to go ahead and do is just take something like a little plate and keep it tucked in and keep it submerged. And guys, these chilies are going to rehydrate. They're going to get nice and flexible. They're going to get nice and soft, and then we'll be able to blend it into a beautiful sauce for today, for the shrimp. Does anybody have any questions about this process before we move on? I'm gonna put this behind me, again, 20, 30 minutes or so, but I don't really think you can actually overdo the soaking stage or anything. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, now, here is the next thing that we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna be taking the oven rack. I'm gonna be getting my broiler on, because everybody, it is gonna be time for us to char the heck out of these poblanos. So, this is a technique that you will see be used all the time in Latin American, in Mexican cooking, my friends. And it is charring your peppers. So what does this do? Well, the skins on any pepper, on any chili, as you may know, they tend to be a little bit papery when they're cooked. How many of you guys have ever stir-fried a pepper before and the skin gets kind of left behind? It's not necessarily the best texture. But by charring the skins, my friends, by really deeply blackening them, we also get this very nice slight smoky flavor. We get to peel off the skin, and inside is the flesh of a really properly roasted poblano pepper. So it's a really good method. I love doing it. Okay, and so for a bell pepper, I would advise you to shave the sides. For a poblano, we're just going to be charring it whole. Then we'll be steaming it and then peeling up the skin. So, super simple. I'm just cutting off the, the tops of those stems, just so that they don't char up too much inside of the oven. And traditionally, you could do this over a comal. You could also just do this over an open flame. Again, we're not trying to caramelize them. We're not trying to brown them. We're not trying to saute them. We're trying to burn these things into oblivion. Because remember, it is only the pepper skin itself that gets bitter and burnt, but the pepper underneath remains sweet and properly and beautifully roasted. So I'm gonna grab a sheet tray. I'm gonna cover it with aluminum foil, because after the chili's char, we're gonna take the aluminum foil, wrap it up. It's gonna steam for about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. And in that process of it steaming, the skin is gonna get so flexible that it's gonna wanna peel right off of the poblano. And I'm gonna be doing this under the broiler. Again, guys, you could theoretically just do this over an open flame. You could do this on a cast iron pan. I really like doing this in the broiler. Kind of like eggplants. Esquilla, exactly. You were right on the money with this. So, poblanos, on. Awesome. And that's it. That is all the prep that they are going to need. We're gonna be doing it whole. We're gonna peel the skin off. We're gonna get the flesh, and we're gonna go ahead and chop it up. Shinny Does Things says, I should try implementing chilies into more of my dishes. I made chili last week and jalapenos would have been good. So, Shinny Does Things, even better than that. Instead of just jalapenos in your chili, what I would really advise you to do is to do a chili with whole dried chilies as well. You can get really creative. You can use guajillo chilies, you can use ancho chilies, pasilla chilies, chipotle chilies. There's so many beautiful kinds of chilies in Mexican cuisine. This, for example, that I have right here, these are some ancho chilies. And ancho chilies are almost raisiny in their flavor. So many people, guys, one of my biggest pet peeves, the way that chili has turned into this monstrosity in the United States. It is a dish that tastes only of canned tomatoes and jarred chili powder. It has no oomph, it has no smokiness, it has no depth. A chili is in the name, right? Chili is in the name of chili. It is all about the chilies. And yet, in most American chilies, or chili con carne if you're European, it's just not. It's such a tragedy. So, use those chilies, my friends. Okay, anyways, poblanos, and all that I'm gonna go ahead and do is just stick it under the broiler. Again, I have no idea how long this is going to take. This is entirely and totally dependent on the strength of your broiler. That's you. Hi. Hello. It is dependent on the strength of your broiler at home. It depends on the distance from the pepper to the broiler. It depends on how wet it is. You're just gonna keep an eye on it. You don't wanna walk away from the kitchen anytime that you're broiling something, only because, you know, of course, if you put something directly under the flame, it might catch on fire after a little bit of time. So, you know, it's not gonna catch on fire as long as you're not, you know, leaving it in there for an hour or anything. But yeah, under the broiler she goes. I am just gonna set a timer to remind myself to check up on it in about 5 minutes or so. but we'll be pulling it in and out, and we'll be going in there just to see how she is doing. Okay, I'm gonna step up my chili game next time. Appreciate the advice. Absolutely. I'm here to help out. Okay, so what else? What are the different other kinds of prep that we need to get done for today? Well, we're going to need to go ahead and get my cumin seeds and my oregano ground up. I honestly don't really want to go through the process of toasting the cumin seeds. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it as it is. And guys, as always, freshly ground, home ground spices are going to be so much better than pre-ground spices. Pre-ground spices, they do tend to be a little bit lackluster in flavor, okay? Is it okay if I put in the oven without the aluminum foil? So Idamar, it will char just fine without the aluminum foil. However, I include the aluminum foil so that I can wrap it up afterwards and let it steam. It does need to steam. So a thing that a lot of people do is they put it into a bowl and they cover the bowl with plastic wrap. But in my case, I'm just gonna go ahead and use aluminum foil, and it's gonna keep my sheet tray nice and clean. Okay, so spices, we're gonna grind it up. I think I'm just gonna be using my electric spice grinder for this. If I can find it. I don't actually know where I put it. Aha, there she is. Wonderful. So give me 1 second, guys. Have some leftover cinnamon in here from another time, but that's okay. And you don't have to use this electric spice grinder. You could just use a mortar and pestle if you would like for something like this. But I have a spice grinder, and I am going to be using it. My favorite cook is live. What's up, Dollar & Co? Well, Oblivious, welcome on in. I hope you're doing exceptionally well today. It's lovely to have you. Okay, so spice grinder, ready to go. And if it has some of the other spices, then I don't really mind as much. I don't really care. Let's get some of those spices in. So once again, I'm gonna be using some Mexican oregano as well as some whole cumin seeds. And how much cumin? I don't know, maybe like a teaspoon roughly of cumin seeds. I love cumin. Again, super, super essential to Mexican food. Can't really have it without it. But also, guys, at the end of the day, you could just totally and completely eyeball something like this. I'm going for something that is roughly a teaspoon. I don't know, something like this. I think that's gonna be good. Get it inside. Some spices you could definitely easily have too much or too little of. Cumin, super, super forgiving. I love cumin, and so should you. Next, oregano. And we're not going to need the most out of this guy either. Opinion on cumin cheese. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what cumin cheese is, Shark Dog. Never heard of it in my life. Are you talking about, I mean, I know what pimento cheese is, of course, but cumin cheese? No clue. Okay, because this is whole oregano on the stem, sometimes to avoid the little stems of oregano, what we can do is rub it through our hands. Also, Raven, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you, it's very sweet of you. I appreciate it. We can just kind of rub it through our hands, and then the stems can remain there, but I think that pass was okay. And we have seemed to avoid it. Okay, and let's do a little bit more. Oh, and guys, Mexican oregano, it smells wonderful. It is super, super vibrant. It is super, super delicious. Okay. So, I am just gonna go ahead and get that quickly ground up. We're gonna get into a nice fine little powder, and that's it. That's how simple it is. If you don't own a spice grinder, I really recommend it. This is just a repurposed coffee grinder. You know, they're super cheap. They're just a couple of bucks. And honestly, guys, you should get it. So, I need to step off camera just for a second, because that's where my closest outlet is, unfortunately. If I'm getting it ground up, I'm grinding it up, I'm grinding it up. And you just want a nice fine powder. You don't want any chunks. You don't want any bits. I'm gonna check in my broiler. I'm gonna see how my poblanos are doing. And guys, I'm going to show you how beautiful and charred and blistered it is. And that is exactly what you're gonna want, okay? So, grinding it up, grinding it up. And now, we're gonna stop on the spices for a second. Because everybody, it is time for us to go ahead and inspect my lovely poblanos. It's supposed to be charred. It's supposed to be smoky. It's supposed to look like it is burnt. Again, if you don't think that you can push it more, you absolutely can. So, gonna get these bad boys out of the oven, out of the broiler rather. And you can see so far, everybody, they have just begun to blister ever so slightly. But that is not enough charring on this first side, okay? We're gonna go ahead and put it back in and let it keep on charring. Let it keep on getting nice and smoky on that side before we flip it over. Wonderful. Would you ever teach on cucaracha shrimp? I wouldn't be able to tell you what that is, super duper. Also, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. I like your content so much because it reminds me of more interactive Alton Brown. Oblivious, that is one of the nicest things that you can possibly say to me. I do not actually do YouTube videos, Itamar VGC. I just use my YouTube channel as a backup for all of the different stream VODs. But at some point, hopefully in 2025, I would love to be able to also do YouTube content in addition to the streams. Okay, I'm inspecting the powder. I'm seeing if it's all nice and ground up. It's almost there. I still got a little tiny bits that I gotta go ahead and get it done. It's just a VOD vault. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and now my friends, guess what? We have some freshly ground, delicious spices for you today. Well, I don't really understand. I don't know what cockroach shrimp is exactly. Super duper. A bit unsettling of a name, but I don't really know what goes into it. Okay, so freshly ground cumin, freshly ground oregano, and I'm going to get a tiny little condiment cup just to be able to dump all this stuff out into. Is that all of it? Wonderful. Great. And I can just go ahead and put that away. These guys, you don't even really need to wash them. You just got to wipe them down every so often because it only handles dried spices. There's no real risk of, like, oh, it's going to develop mold. No, don't worry about that. That is not an issue. So this is for the sauce for the shrimp today. My poblanos are currently charring. They're getting nice and smoky. What else are we waiting on? We're going to need to do the mushroom prep. We're going to need to cut up the poblanos. We're going to need to make the sauce. And then we also have to make the dough for the tortillas today. And everybody, making homemade corn tortillas, I'm telling you right now, it is super, super easy to do at home. You need a little bit of extra equipment. You will need to, of course, get a tortilla press. But guys, homemade corn tortillas are so flavorful and so, so, so delicious. So back to the poblanos. Again, once it starts going, once it starts blistering and charring, it's just not gonna stop. So everybody, this is now looking a little bit more like it. You can see that the poblano is beginning to almost pop open. Now I'm just going to get in there and give it all a little flip. And I'm just using whatever is remaining of the stem to just sort of lift it up and flip it around and flip it around. Awesome. We're going to give them all a little bit of space from each other. So get over here, move, thank you. And we're going to get that other side nice and properly charred as well. So let's get that in. And I'll give it just a little rotation just to ensure that it does cook as evenly as possible inside of the broiler. Again, guys, I dropped my towel in the oven for a second. Really, truly do not recommend doing that. That could be a fire hazard. Okay, so everybody, once again, when we're cooking at home, once we are done with an ingredient, I'm done with my cumin, I'm done with my oregano. You know what I'm going to go ahead and do? I'm going to go ahead and put it away. The most important concept when it comes to cooking at home, I will say it again and again, and I want to hear a nice yes, chef, is to clean as you go. So everybody, we clean as we go. Please and thank you. I'm going to grab my bag sabers, even though these are quite oversized for this today. That should be fine anyways. Just gotta put away. No, chef, I'm too lazy to clean. Well, Shark Dog, guess what? If you don't clean now, it's gonna be even more difficult to clean later on. At the end of the day, this is a home cooking show. Okay, I'm here to teach you guys not how to make a dish and then throw it onto like a YouTube video and not show you the process of really, really understanding it and understanding why we're doing the things we do. This is a home cooking show. This is not for cooking as a novelty. This is to really push your home kitchen to make delicious food in a way that's also convenient to you. Okay, I'm gonna have a little sip of water. We'll take a second, we'll slow it down, and then we'll think about what else we need to do. In my case, it's actually gonna be making the dough for the tortillas. And it's super simple and it's super easy. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Everybody, Masa harina, once again, nixtamalized corn flour. Nixtamalization is a process of treating whole corn kernels with something alkaline, right? Traditionally, you would use wood ash. I think now they're just using some other stuff. Okay, and letting it soak. It changes the flavor, it also changes the nutrition of the corn itself, and it also changes the feel of the dough. So you can't just do ground up cornmeal, you can't just do any corn flour, it has to be nixtamalized corn, and you will see that on the package. So, store-bought corn tortillas, I'm gonna say this right now, suck. Unless you live in one of 2 states in the US that have a tortilla, which would be either in Texas or in California. Right, where you can go to a tortilla factory and get fresh, delicious homemade corn tortillas from them. Most corn tortillas are straight up awful. People associate them with being rubbery, with them being chewy, and with them being a little bit chalky in the mouth. And guys, let me tell you right now, the store-bought corn tortillas, they're not freshly made. The texture on them sucks. A homemade one is just 2 ingredients. And the most amazing thing about it is it's not like a flour tortilla that you have to roll out. There is no gluten development because it is just corn flour. Corn flour plus water, mix it together, ball it up, smash it, cook it. Easy, simple, and super, super consistent to do in a home setting, especially as you get into the swing of it. Guys, I want you all to get into the habit of making your own corn tortillas. It genuinely makes everything better. It makes everything so much better. So, let's go ahead and begin. I'm just gonna tie up my hair. I'm gonna get a bowl that is slightly too big. You want a bowl that is slightly too big. The reason why is because you want enough space that you can just comfortably mix up everything inside with no other worries, okay? And here's the other excellent thing about, whoa, hello, that is so reflective. Can we chill out? Is that possible? It's a webcam, so the reality is with webcams, they get really messy about exposure. Okay, so super simple. We're not even gonna be using a measuring cup. There is no measurements, there is no weights, there is nothing. We're just gonna be talking about a ratio. Here is the ratio, my friends. We're gonna be doing 1 cup of masa harina to about a cup of slightly warm tap water. Okay, and then if it's too wet, I'm gonna teach you how to assess if it's too wet. I'm gonna show you how to assess if it's too dry or not. And that's it. It's gonna be super simple, it's gonna be super easy. I do think this bowl, for the amount of tortillas that I'm gonna be making today, is overkill. I have a glass bowl somewhere that I could just use instead, just so that I make a few less dishes, everybody. Okay? Really, really simple, really, really easy. I'm just gonna be using this teacup. Again, I have no idea about the specific measurements. Have I made flour tortillas? No, Shai Chica, I haven't, because I despise rolling out dough at home. I find the process of rolling out dough to be messy and takes up a lot of space. Now, once again, the Poblanos. I know that I'm jumping around, I know that we're all over the place, but we gotta remember that we have those Poblanos charring up beautifully under the broiler. And guys, look at that second side. Look how it's going. It's almost done. I'm just gonna give it a little quarter turn and put it back in. That's it. Nice and easy. Beautiful. Back to this. So, again, however much you wanna make, totally up to you. The average tortilla is gonna be between 22 and 25 grams of dough in total. And so the amount that I'm gonna be making out of this teacup is gonna be roughly 6 through 8 tortillas. And I just know that because I've made quite a few tortillas already, I have to say. Now, pouring it, I'm not very good. Bemek, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. So, let's get that masa in. There we go. Beautiful. And again, this is how much I'm going to be making for today, maybe a little bit more than that. And I'll just go ahead and dump that bad boy inside. Now, it's always easier to add water than it is to add masa to make sure that the dough is at the correct consistency. So I always recommend to start off a little bit drier than you actually want it. Now, we're going to need some nice hot, well, not hot, just a little bit below hot. We're gonna need some nice warm tap water. That's too hot. I find that if it's too hot, it actually ends up evaporating a little bit and dries out the dough almost. Okay, this was roughly the same volume of water as it is to the flour. And all that I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to begin with a wooden spoon while it's warm. Actually, how warm is that? That's not that warm. That's kind of lukewarm. I'm gonna get some hotter water than that. It's not super exact. You just want it to be between warm and hot. Okay, everybody, in she goes. But I don't want, we can always pick up the process if the poblanos are done. So again, I'm adding most of it in. I'm gonna be saving a little bit of water because it's always easier to add more water later on. I'm just beginning with a spoon, but I can already tell you, we're gonna need all of this water in. I looked at that consistency. Okay, so everybody, what is the texture that we are going for? You're going to see how quickly this just comes together. And what you want is for it to press into your hand and not crack, but you also don't want it to stick to your hand. Now, again, I'm also babysitting my poblanos at the same time, making sure that they're going accordingly. That is how long they took to get nice and charred. And everybody, look at these beautiful poblanos. That is a properly charred chili. The skin is going to peel off really, really nicely now. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and just wrap it up with the aluminum foil, wrap it up, and let this sit for 15 to 20 minutes or so. And inside of this foil bag, it's going to steam. And once it steams, once it gets a little bit more humid, that's going to allow us to really properly peel the poblanos. Okay, back to this. I added in the water. I'm going to just grab a glove now, and I'm going to go in with my hand. We're gonna make this dough happen. Okay, just take it. And guys, here's the nice thing about corn tortillas. You cannot over mix it, right? There is no flour, meaning that there is no gluten. It is all made out of corn. And corn flour you cannot overmix. You can definitely undermix it though. And guys, I can already tell you right now, look at the consistency of this. Look how dry and crumbly it is. It's all going to change as you just get all those pockets evened up. So Trash Can Cat Mom says, made a really delicious lentil spinach potato soup with the consistency using an immersion blender. Very happy with how she came out. Well, I'm very happy for you. Clean up those sides. Guys, don't waste any of that corn, especially because it just makes the cleaning process a little bit more difficult later on. Get it in there, smash it in, and mix it up. Again, you cannot overmix it, but you can definitely undermix it. So keep it going. Keep it going, it's fun. This is literally what Play-Doh is made out of, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what Play-Doh is made out from. There you go. Smash it, get it together. Now, everybody, I can tell you right now, this dough is probably too dry. It's also really dependent on humidity. Okay, if I gave you an exact measurement of this many grams of masa to this many grams of water, it's not always going to come out the same. But the nice thing is, I'm actually going to teach you how to feel it. I'm not going to give you some romanticized idea of like, oh, this grandma does it by feel. I'll show you how to do this. So, once it's mostly mixed up, and I would say that this is just beginning to get there. You can see it's forming this really, really lovely paste. Now, here's what we do. We take a little ball of it. We smash it in my hand. We're looking for two things to happen. First, we're not looking for it to stick. If it sticks, the dough is too wet. If it leaves a residue, it's too wet. Then, if you smash it and it cracks around the edges significantly, that's going to tell you that the dough is too dry. Now, in my case, and again, I apologize for the lighting, my dough is not cracking around the edges at all. Just to really be safe, I'm going to mix it up a little bit more because I don't think I mixed it for that long. And if you guys have any questions, you can, of course, always ask me. But yeah, I apologize for the automatic exposure on the webcam. Such is life. Just smash it, mix it, punch it, fold it, knead it, do whatever it takes to go ahead and get a beautiful hunk of dough. And then afterwards, we're just gonna let it sit and we're going to let it all completely hydrate. Okay, there she goes. Once again, I'm gonna grab a little bit of it. Well, actually, I'm gonna grab a nice big chunk of it. So honestly, guys, I am getting very, very slight cracking around the edges. I'm going to do the teeniest, tiniest little drop of water just to get this a little bit more hydrated. I'm seeing some cracking. I don't want it. Hi, Count JP. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. What's cracking right now? My tortilla dough. So I'm mixing in the water, but just again, the teeniest, tiniest drop. That's okay, Shark Dog. You are welcome to listen to this in your sleep and let all of the culinary thoughts infuse, I suppose. Let it steep. Okay. Just really, really working in that water. Okay, everybody, I think that this dough should now be ready for a second check. Again, you don't want it to stick to your hands, you don't want it to leave a residue on your hands, and you also don't want it to crack. So once again, rolling up a little ball, smashing it down, it's absolutely not cracking, and it's not leaving a residue. This dough is ready to go. So I'm just going to ball it up. I'm balling it up, just like so. And we're gonna cover it in plastic wrap and let it sit. We're not really letting it rest the same way that you would let gluten rest or something to autolyse. All that we're really doing is we're just allowing it to rehydrate. Right? The same principle, guys, applies especially for cookies. A lot of people, they really, really mess up when it comes to making cookie dough because they make the cookie dough and then they immediately bake it. And almost all cookies, guys, need time to sit in the fridge for at least an hour for the flour to properly hydrate. And people do not do that. And they end up with cookies that spread out too much or it doesn't get the right texture. Almost always, when it comes to anything with any kind of flour, it almost always demands a resting stage for it to hydrate. So, dough, officially done. Chat, wasn't that easy? My little sous chefs, wasn't that easy? That is how easy it is to make corn tortilla dough. It is literally 2 ingredients. 2 ingredients and super easy to do by feel. You don't need exact measurements. You don't have to mess with it too much. Okay, this is gonna get put away. This is just going to go ahead and chill out behind me somewhere. So we can do a little recap session. We're making camarones a la Diablo today. We're also making mushrooms and poblanos sauteed, covered in cheese, and then gonna be broiled until it's nice and bubbly. We're making the homemade tortillas. What have we done so far? We toasted the chilies for the red sauce, and then we also soaked it in some water. We ground up some cumin seeds as well as some Mexican oregano. We made the dough for the tortillas, and we also went ahead and charred up the poblanos to include in the mushroom dish. Now, everybody, as always in the kitchen, once we're done with the task, we clean as we go. I'm done with this wooden spoon. I'm not gonna use it again. So I'm just gonna go ahead and scrub off all of the masa on it and get that out of here. Once we're done with something, we put it away. I'm gonna get this cup out of here as well. I might be putting unnecessary things in the dishwasher, but I'm also running a cooking show, so it's a slight compromise here on occasion, okay? Now, the question is, what do we actually have left? Yes, wooden spoon in the dishwasher, honestly, Tarina, I've never had a problem with it. It doesn't smell, it doesn't stink. I've never had an issue with it in my entire life. So, I'm also gonna quickly wipe off my station. We're keeping clean, everybody. We're staying nice and properly organized. So, here's what we have left to do. For the red sauce, when you take the sauce, when you take all the different ingredients, the chilies, the onions, the garlic, a little bit of water, and we need to blend it up. Then we need to take that and we need to fry it in a little bit of oil. It's going to give it a little bit of extra flavor, and then we're going to just sort of let it cook and boil for an additional 20 minutes or so, okay? Until it's really, really nice and delicious and almost like a marinara consistency. We need to prep the mushrooms. We're going to saute the mushrooms, combine it with the peppers, grate the cheese, and top it off with the cheese. The shrimp, so simple, sear it, cover it with the red sauce. I think that we should go ahead and do we should do the mushrooms first. Let's go ahead and do the mushroom prep while we're here. So, to the cutting board we go. Get my towel out of the way, and as always, a nice little waste bowl, just to keep our station nice and organized. Okay, I have these white button mushrooms. So, here's a fun thing about mushrooms. They're all mostly interchangeable with each other. That does not mean that mushrooms all taste the same. Oyster mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms and king oysters and white button mushrooms. But they're all different, and yet their function is still very much so interchangeable. I really highly encourage you just to use whatever mushroom you have around. Use whatever mushroom that you really like. I chose white button mushrooms because they were really, really cheap at my store. That's it. But even a humble white button mushroom can be transformed into something really, really special and really delicious. You just have to stick with me. So, as for the mushrooms, we're going to be taking off all of the stems. The reason why we do so, even though the stem is quite edible, it is a little bit woody, but we're going to save the stems for a stock in the future. I'm just going to be taking all the mushroom stems and throwing it into the freezer. So all I like to do is I just take the mushroom, guys, and I just gently coax the stem. I'm not pulling it. I'm just coaxing it. Beautiful. I'm taking it, giving it a little wiggle, and popping it out. I'll repeat this with all of your mushrooms. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Again, not super necessary, but I like to do this just to have the best texture and then to use the mushroom stems for a future mushroom stock. I think I found my new kind of content. Well, Stealth 5, but welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. How'd you find the cooking show? One by one. Asparagus or mushrooms without hats? Alright, Askia. Sure. Anything spear-shaped, I suppose. Welcome on in, Stealth 5. Okay. Lovely. There you go. And of course, guys, if you have any questions at all, you're welcome to ask. Okay. Oh, we're doing it live. There's a lot of mushrooms to go through, of course. Things take time. Cooking takes time. You seeing the real process. Thank you. I hope all is well. Everything is excellent here. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. This one kind of splintered a little bit, but guys, if you don't get all of the stem out, it's going to be okay. Do not sweat it. Mushrooms are very, very forgiving. They're a lot more forgiving than people give them credit for. You can really cook them out. You can leave a little bit of the stem in. You just really want to make sure in the washing process that you're getting any of the dirt gone after all. Okie dokie. So that's done. I'm going to just simply get a little Ziploc freezer bag, and it's going to go into the freezer. Because these mushroom stems, everybody, do not discard them. There's a lot of vegetable scraps I don't really care about. Mushrooms, I do care about. You can add them into a chicken stock, and it's going to give it a little bit more meatiness. You're going to add it into a vegetable stock. You can add it in to infuse into sauces and then take it out later, because the mushroom stems are still very much so viable. So, got all those out. And everybody, this looks like a lot of mushrooms, but I promise you, this abundance of mushrooms, it can and will shrink. For any of you that have extensive or even just a little bit of mushroom cooking experience, you know how much they shrink. Okay, now the question is, how do we want to cut them? So, once again, mushrooms, they shrink a lot. So the way that you cut them, you can mess it up, you can do anything you want, and it's still going to be delicious, it's still going to be fine. Me personally, for these button mushrooms, I'm just going to quarter them, just like so. 1 and 2, and I'll get them into a bowl. Super simple, super easy. Anybody can do it. Ready? 1 and 2. Excellent. And let's repeat that with each and every single one of them. Mushrooms are very forgiving, by the way. You don't even necessarily need a sharp knife. You could pull them apart, you could rip them apart. They do so much in the kitchen, and they provide so much flavor. It's very, very difficult to not love a mushroom, everybody, I have to say. And so many people, they talk about how mushrooms are slimy. But if you cook them properly, my friends, if you cook them in the way that I'm going to show you, they're not going to be slimy at all. Instead, they're going to be nice and properly meaty. They're going to have a little bit of bite. They're going to have a little bit of chew to them. I will just eat them whole? Well, Yoon Povi, guess what? You could just cook these whole. Now, granted, it would take a little bit longer. Right? Of course, that is the biggest consideration with leaving them whole, but they will still end up eventually shrinking down. I've always struggled with the texture of mushrooms. Raven, I really, really implore you, first of all, there's a lot of different varieties of mushrooms out there. There's a lot of different varieties of textures. But a very nice way to start would be like a mushroom cream soup, where it was blended down, and you get a lot of flavor out of the mushrooms that way. Or, once again, mushroom stalks, and using dried mushrooms and infusing it into other dishes. So if you want to get into mushrooms a little bit more, and you struggle with that initial texture, those are some very, very friendly ways that you can go ahead and do so. And I'm not talking about like canned, Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, right? It can be super easy to make a very delicious mushroom soup. Very, very simple. I do chop them when I cook them, but I will take them as from the fridge as a snack. Now, raw mushrooms, I can never get behind, Yoon. I'm sorry. I don't get it. Tastes pretty rough as a, raw mushroom. Don't love it. Can't do it. Not me. Okay, guys, guess what? The magical ones work in a soup? I mean, honestly, yeah, because I think something about it denaturing at a certain point or another. Anyways, okay, everybody, onions, garlic. We're going to go ahead and knead this for, of course, the red chili sauce. Now, I have a very, very big, beautiful Vidalia onion here. I don't think I'm going to need all of this onion today. I also have in my fridge a much older onion that has been just sort of sitting out there for a little bit, and it is currently on its way out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do half of the Vidalia onion, and then I'm also going to use the older onion that has no place anymore in any other dish, but it's a very nice way of using it up. So I just have a red onion here, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and peel it up, peel it up, peel it up, and we're just going to cut the butt off, or the root, or the head of it, excuse me. Beautiful. There we go. Excellent. This is my leftover red onion. Again, guys, I started getting into a fight on Twitter over this. I made the claim that alliums are interchangeable, and people said, oh, how could you? Most alliums are really surprisingly interchangeable. So, we're going to go ahead and cut the head of the Vidalia onion off. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right down lengthwise. And again, if you don't have a Vidalia onion, feel free to use anything that you have. You can use anything that you have at home, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and just peel it up this way. That's right, very interchangeable once the collapsation stage has been achieved. You got it, Serena. It's your favorite Dara M word? Although I wouldn't call it that. I don't think we should say the M. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and just chunk it up. Just something for my blender to be able to handle a little bit easier. Beautiful. Look at all this stuff on the cutting board. Look at it. Dirty, we don't want any of it. Gone. We're going to use a bench scraper. We're going to clean up our station. Next, we're going to get some raw garlic cloves into the mix as well. We're going to get about 3 to 4 of them, I want to say. Something along those lines. We don't need too much, because it is going to be ultimately raw garlic when it goes in. It's going to be quite pungent. We're going to do 3 to 4 cloves or so. Come on. And I'm trying to open this up. It is a bit of a challenge, so please forgive me. I made you get a bench scraper. Shark Dog, I'll take that as a win. I'm happy to hear it. Everybody should own one of them. They're one of my favorite pieces of kitchen equipment of all time. Let's do 3 cloves of garlic for today. That's going to be more than fine. Okay. Excellent. Everybody, what do we do? How do we peel it? Great question. Smash it. 1, 2, 3. There she goes. And obviously we cut the garlic manually. Not in this kitchen, Count JP. Not in this one. Okay, it's been smashed. And now that we've smashed it, you can see just how easily all of it peels up. And we're going to go ahead and just cut off the dried butts. There it is, everybody. My lovely garlic cloves. And these are, once again, just going to get blended into the red chili sauce. Okay, so here is all of the different components for today. For the red chili sauce, of course, minus the guajillos. We have the red onion. I have the Vidalia onion. I'm using the red onion again, just in the interest of using up any and all existing leftovers that I have, my friends. Okay, now, I wonder, I know I had a jar of chicken bouillon powder somewhere or another, but maybe I actually ended up using all of it up. No, I did not. I lied. Chicken bouillon powder. I don't have any chicken broth. This is going to be the next best thing. It's going to be just fine. Do not sweat it. That's going to be used later on though. And these are all of the components. Now, before we begin blending the sauce, guys, let's go to the Poblanos because they have been steaming. They have been waiting for us and they are just about ready to be peeled. Okay? They are charred. They're nice and soft. They're nice and roasted on the inside. And these are going to be perfect. So I'm going to quickly rinse off my hands just because I got some garlic on it. And it's always very nice to use gloves, guys. Use gloves for something like this. Trust me, it makes your job a lot easier. Especially because with poblanos, they're a little bit spicy. You don't want any of the capsaicin to get under your fingernails. Gloves on. Oh yeah, guys, we are busy today. We got stuff to do. We still haven't done like any of the cooking so far, but that's okay. We still haven't made the tortillas. We haven't cooked the mushrooms. We haven't cooked the sauce yet. The shrimp is gonna be the last thing. I think the tortillas will be like one of the first things. We still got work ahead of us. Okay, how do we peel it? Guys, super simple, super easy. You're just gonna see wherever the skin flakes off, and it should, theoretically, just go ahead and come right off. If we did this correctly, that is. There we go. Take a look. And we don't want to, of course, get any of the flesh with that. If it's not been fully charred, it's going to stick. Roasting peppers like this is something I want to try soon. Absolutely, you should. Now, I might have cooked them a little bit too long. Oh, no, you don't want the skin. You just want to only peel off the skin, is what I meant to say, Shark Dog. Please forgive me. There we go. You can see how easily she peels off after that steaming process. Hexeract. I don't know how to speak in Russian. I'm afraid I read in Russian anymore. I'm so sorry. Hexeract, it is lovely to have you. I hope you are doing super, super well today. Could this be done in a breville, or is it too large and watery? What do you mean done in a breville? But Hexeract, I hope you're doing really well today. Hope you're having an excellent day. Okay. Also, wait, Hexeract, I have a question. Do you watch StarCraft at all? I started playing myself lately. I started playing Protoss. Anyhow, okay. StarCraft mentioned? Oh yeah. I've been really, really enjoying the game. Okay, guys, I think that this poblano is mostly peeled, and if there's a little bit of skin remaining, it's gonna be okay. I watch Autosis. Oh yeah. Autosis, his streams are crazy. That man is, well, anyways. Peel it. Get this poblano nice and peeled. Those streams are insane. If you guys have never watched an Autosis stream, the donation messages, you just watch it for the donation messages. He's so, oh gosh. I see Hexeract. Okay. I think I saw your name pop up a few times whenever I tuned into Autosis. I don't watch a lot of streamers, but sometimes every now and then. So that's why I brought it up. Too many actions per minute for my puny brain to comprehend. Something like that, Lancine. I'm very new to it, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Okay, enough about StarCraft. We're cooking, after all. We're peeling up these lovely little poblanos. I could never watch a streamer. That's right, Count JP. Guys, you'd be surprised. I'm not all that into streaming. I don't really watch streamers. I watch esports tournaments on occasion, and then over here I'm running a cooking show. So I can't even really say that this is like, you know, me being a streamer. I would like for this to develop into a full cooking show. Okay, poblano, again, mostly peeled. If there is a little bit of skin left, you are going to be just fine. You're going to make it out okay, I promise. Next one, peel it up. Look how nicely it peels, everybody. After the charring process, look how nicely she peels. Look at her go. Beautiful. Off. Excellent. Off. Amazing. Oh, Raven, that's very sweet of you. I try my best. Also, Hexelect with a $100 donation. Devi? Is that what you were saying? Devi? Hexelect, thank you so much. That's a very, very generous donation of you. I really appreciate it. That's very sweet. The text-to-speech, so Devi in Russian is like a command. I don't actually know exactly what it translates to. What does Devi translate to? I mean, I've spoken Russian my whole life. Devi, you would say like a new Devi, like Devi. It's like come on. I guess it's kind of like come on. Devi, you sure? Yeah, the text-to-speech said Devaj. Okay, almost done. Again, guys, it can be a little bit tricky. I think I might have roasted mine a little bit too long, but that is okay. Take a look. Look how nicely this one goes on. There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Get it all off. All of that skin. It's got to go. So there you go. That was your Russian lesson for everybody watching at the moment. We're running a show here. And there she goes. There she goes. All of that poblano skin. All of it off, all of it gone. And then we're also just going to go ahead and get the seeds and the stems off and out of here. Okay, just inspecting it. I'm inspecting it. I'm seeing what I have left behind. And the answer is a little bit of skin at the tip of the pepper. Do not quote me on that. Wonderful. And you can see how much of it has really, truly shrunken down. Everybody, let's go ahead and finish prepping these bad boys. Super simple. We're just going to go ahead and basically pop out the head. We're going to open it up. And then we're just going to go ahead and take out any and all seeds. Also, Starlight Lily, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I really, really appreciate it. And now we also have a hype train. I still don't really know what to do when we have a hype train, but that's okay. I think I may or may not have cooked these a little bit too long because the poblanos are basically already falling apart at this stage, but that's okay. Get them out. Get them out. Get those seeds gone. Get those seeds gone. Get those seeds gone. Beautiful. Get them out. And if there's a few of them left over, guys, don't worry about it. In the case of a nice fresh poblano, it's just going to be a little bit of extra heat. Okay? So it's not going to be a tragedy. It will not be the end of the world. I did not do the best job with actually processing them, so please forgive me, everybody. Again, if you got some seeds in there, not the end of the world. Let's see if I can take out the seed pocket a little bit better this time around. Just sort of pop that out, pop that out. I'm saving as much of the flesh as possible. Get that bad boy gone. Beautiful poblano strip. Really, really nice and tasty, my friends. Again, one of my favorite peppers, easily. They have some of the most flavor. Also, Mark Wilson Hannon, thank you so much for all of the bits. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's very generous of you. You guys are being so nice to me today. Yeah, get them going. Whoop. Clean it up. Clean it up. Now, this is probably my fault. I could have probably seeded these before I charred them. There's a lot of things that I could have done. I haven't charred a poblano in a while, everybody. I apologize for my sins. Okay, almost done. Almost gone. Gotta get them all off. Last one. Come on, flesh. Thank you very much. And we'll just have one to taste. Everybody, green bell peppers have nothing on the depth and the flavor and the savoriness of a poblano. They're honestly night and day. Every time that I have a poblano, every time I have a bell pepper, excuse me, I meant to say that I wished that I was having a poblano instead. These are super, super nice. But oftentimes, in my local supermarkets at least, they're almost never looking fresh. They look wrinkly, they look old, sometimes they look a little bit molded, they look a little bit mushy. But these guys today, they were looking beautiful. So, we have my poblanos. Honestly, we're not even really gonna need to cut them up or anything. I'm just gonna go ahead and just tear it up into these strips. We could probably just dice it up, just like this. And then they're just going to get mixed with the mushrooms once they're cooked. That is all of the prep that they're going to need. And into a bowl, we're gonna go ahead and set it aside and get it out of sight and out of mind. Does anybody have any questions before we continue? I'm going to go ahead and just quickly toss all of that. Get that done. I gotta ask again before I fall asleep, what's that knife? This is a Corlin Damascus petty knife. It's a very nice little petty knife. I love petty knives. They get so many little jobs done. They have a lot of maneuverability. I especially like them for butchering chickens because I don't actually own a boning knife. I have a fish fillet knife that I would like to sell though. I have a fillet knife and I honestly don't use it because I don't ever really work with whole fish or anything. Honestly, the only time that you'd be doing that is in a restaurant or if you're buying whole fish, and I'm honestly not doing either of those things. Okay, I'm wiping down my station. I'm going to get as much stuff around my cutting board into the waste bowl because guys, keep your kitchen organized. Keep it nice and tidy. Poblanos officially finished. You know what time it is? It is time for us to go ahead and make the red chili sauce. So I'm going to be employing the use of my amazing, beautiful blender, my lovely little Vitamix. So here's what we gotta have happen. I'm gonna have you step up here. Thank you very much. I'm gonna have to plug him in. Awesome. Go all the way around. I'm gonna have to go through the sink into the outlet. Beautiful. Okay, one day guys, I'm gonna get an outlet installed behind me, but that day is not here yet. But if you'd like to help me make that happen, something, exclamation mark, tip, or donate. Anyways, okay, first thing, make sure that it's off. Make sure that the speed is set to 1. Now, we have to go ahead and inspect those dried chilies that we have. It's important that we do, and I'm gonna tell you why. Here's my chilies. They've been soaking inside of this liquid. I'm going to go ahead and fish them out. Now, the soaking liquid, as I have actually found out, is sometimes bitter. It's also sometimes not bitter at all. We're going to taste the soaking liquid. If it tastes bitter, then we're just going to blend it with plain old water. But if it tastes excellent, if it tastes nice and rich and nice and fruity, then we're going to be including it inside. So, taste it. Not bitter. Not bitter in the slightest, actually. Nice and delicious with the flavor of those chilies, my friends. So, let's get this all inside now. I'm gonna get my chilies. We don't need all of this water, by the way. It will be too much liquid. We don't want it to be too wet after all. Here's all of my excellent little guajillos. Get them in, get them in, get them in, excellent. And we're gonna do maybe like a third of a cup of all of that soaking liquid. Guys, I'm telling you, this red chili sauce, it is going to be phenomenal. So yeah, not bitter in the slightest, which I'm very, very pleased about. Come on, buddy. In you go. In you go. I feel like who better to ask about knives than the pro chefs? Well, that's a good question. Professional chefs, honestly, they don't always know the most about knives. And they got like weird little biases when it comes to them sometimes. Okay, next, onion goes in. The whole onion, my friends, all of it, all of it, all of it, all of it in. I'm going to go ahead and get all of those spices as well. I'm going to get the garlic inside. And then, instead of just using salt, I'm going to be using the chicken bouillon powder. Again, just to give this sauce a little bit more depth. I don't know exactly how much. I'm just sprinkling some in and going totally and 100% by vibe. Last but not least, my friends, we're going to get a few spoons of this soaking liquid in there. And that is going to be my sauce. 3, 4. Awesome. Beautiful. So, chilies, oregano, cumin. It's going to be delicious. I'm very, very excited about it. In it all goes. Seal it shut. Turn it on. Start off on a nice low speed. And then just slowly turn it up. And it's gonna get there. The onions are gonna get incorporated. Just give them a second. Well, actually, maybe not. I might need to use my stick, my tamper. I believe that's what it's called. I might need to use this bad boy to go ahead and just push them all down. I thought I would be able to. I don't think I just cut my onion small enough. So in it goes. And now, oh, don't start at a high speed. My bad. Push it down. Push it down. There it goes. Blend it up nice and smooth. Nice and homogeneous. Get it done. You want it all blended, my friends. Have some water. And stop it. That's it. That's how simple it is. And now everybody, when you do the final cooking over the sauce itself, we're gonna heat up some oil. We're gonna go ahead and pour it in. We're gonna let it fry for a second, and then we're just gonna let it stew and cook all the way down. Chef Christmas is coming up, and I don't know what to ask for. Anything a newish home chef should have? Good question, Persephone. An Epicurean cutting board, I think, is ideal for the home setting. It's a wooden cutting board that's not gonna warp in a dishwasher. I find that it's very, very, very friendly for people to have at home. So, everybody, we're going to begin making the sauce itself. Stove on. We're going to, in this little tiny cute saucepan, we're just going to pour in any kind of oil is going to do just fine. I'm using avocado oil. Ideally, honestly, if you had some lard would be amazing in something like this. But I'm just going in with a little bit of oil, because the goal is we're going to just slightly not saute it, but we are going to very, very quickly hit it with the heat, and we're just going to get some of the cooked notes in the as well while we're at it. Okay. So we're just gonna get it nice and hot. We're gonna pour it in, and you will see this, guys, this seems a little bit odd. This might seem a little bit weird to do, but you will see this done in so many different taco places. This is a very, very common thing to do with any sort of salsa. It really just gives it a little bit more depth. It gives it a little bit more oomph. It gives it a little bit more flavor. It's going to splash a little bit when you start pouring it in, but do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Just roll with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a tiny little wooden spoon, just like so. We're gonna get it nice and hot. It doesn't need to be smoking per se. It just needs to be nice and hot. And so that we stay on top of it, guys, let's go ahead and just taste the salsa so far. Let's taste it to see how it has been going, to see how it's come out. I'm just gonna taste it directly from this. Ooh. The garlic immediately hit me, but everybody, that is so, so, so delicious. I'm telling you, whole dried chilies, that is where it is at. Flavorful, simple, a little bit chickeny, awesome. Okay, chef's opinion on sous vide machines. Ronsin, it's a fun toy. I think most people don't need it. If you have a really, really big home where you have the space for a sous vide tub, it's amazing for guests, especially guest cooking and cooking experiments. I don't think most people need it, though, as a practical piece of home kitchen equipment. Oh, Eskia, it already has a little bit of salt in there from the chicken bouillon powder, but we can always add more later on. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Get that bowl out of here as well. Get it gone. Awesome. We're going to get this oil nice and hot, and then we're just going to pour this bad boy in. Now, the one thing that they really should have invented with a Vitamix, as much as I really, really love this thing, is a way to store this guy without it falling over or anything, because it's kind of annoying, like the tamper and such. Okay. So again, guys, get that oil nice and hot. It does not need to be smoking hot. Be careful. We are, of course, going to be adding essentially oil to water, or water to hot oil. It's going to splash. It's going to splatter. It's going to die down in a second, though. So nice and hot. It is exactly where it needs to be. It is just slightly smoking. And guys, I'm telling you, when you go, you just go. Get it in, mix it in. It's going to hiss. It's going to splatter a little bit. Just go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, pour it all in. Pour it in, mix it in, mix it in, mix it in. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Stop, relax, chill out, mix it. Mix it till it stops hissing at you. Mix it till it stops yelling at you. There it is. That's it. She's done yelling at us. I might have had a little bit too much oil, if I'm going to be honest. But that's okay. It splatters. It hisses. Guys, I'm telling you, you mix it in, and then it's okay. It's okay. She's okay. And this way, we get a little bit of extra caramelization in there. We get a little bit of extra flavor in there. It's all going to be nice and delicious. There's a little film of oil. Do not worry. It's all going to cook in. It's all going to mix in properly. There she is. Okay. I know. A little bit scary. Splashed. Actually, right on me. Did it get on my shirt? Probably. I just can't see it. Mix it. If you do not mix it, it's going to keep splashing. It's going to keep hissing at you. Mix that oil in, my friends. Mix it in. Keep it going. And then we'll just add some water and we'll let it stew down ever so slightly. But this way, my friends, again, we are just maximizing the amount of flavor out of the final sauce. There she is. That is now beginning to ever so slightly come together. If you do not mix this, it's going to keep splashing though. So please, for the love of God, be careful. I'm just wiping off any of the sauce that has gotten all over the place, because there is actually quite a bit of sauce that has indeed gotten all over the place. Okay? Mix it up. Guys, today's a long stream. We still got to make the sauce. We still got to do the tortillas. If everybody's still watching, I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, pleased, and thank you. That would be awesome. Taste that. Already, it's beginning to get there. Just a little bit. The oil has officially mixed in. We're just going to get this to a light simmer. We're going to add more water. We're going to add some salt. And then we're just going to let it slowly cook down until it's nice and properly thick. So when your heat is too high, look how it splashes. Right? You just want it gentle, 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 gentle. Okay, I am just going to go in with some plain water. And I'm going to add in a little bit more chicken bouillon powder. But in she goes. In it goes. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe in total about like a cup or so, I would like to say. And chicken bouillon powder. Get a little bit of flavor in there. Get a little bit of oomph in there. Okay? Wonderful. Mix that all in. And this is just going to cook down, my friends, until it is a nice, delicious, flavorful sauce. The raw onion is going to cook out, the raw garlic is going to cook out, and it's going to be excellent. Okay, that is just a really, really simple red chili sauce. I know that step got a little bit hectic. I know that step got a little bit messy. So, everybody, blender tip. Here's a really big piece of blender advice, okay? The most important thing is that you clean it immediately. I'm going to say it again, guys. The most important thing is that you clean it immediately. Why? If you clean it immediately, you're going to go ahead and get all of those bits out of there. If you leave it to dry, your next thing is going to taste like the last thing that you cooked. If I'm making a smoothie, I do not necessarily want it to taste like guajillo chilies. So, everybody, the question is, how do you clean it? All I'm doing is I'm rinsing out the really, really big solids with a little bit of water. This is super simple. Tap in. This is going to apply to all blenders. I'm not using a brush. I'm not using a sponge. Everybody, watch this. Halfway full with some nice warm water. Excellent. Couple of pumps of soap go in. Excellent. Halfway full with water. Couple of pumps of soap. Next, I'm just going to close it up and we're going to let the blender do its own work. The blender got messy, he can clean himself up just fine. I'm gonna cap it off, I'm gonna lid it off, and then we're going to just let it go, my friends. And we're gonna let it run for a minute or two, and you're going to see it picks up all of the dirt, it picks up all of the stuff from below the blade. I don't want to get into it with a sponge, I don't want to get into it with a brush. Trust in the power of warm water, my friends. So, let's get that plugged back on in. Plugged in, locked in, ready to go. And then I think we can do the mushrooms and the tortillas and all that. Get it on the lowest speed. Slowly increment it with the soap and the water. I'm just gonna mix up my sauce a little bit. Make sure she's doing okay. Wonderful. All of that raw onion, all that raw garlic is gonna cook out, and we're just gonna cook this 20 to 30 minutes or so. And keep that going. Never thought to clean it that way? Well, guess what? This is the manufacturer recommended way to clean. In fact, this is not like some magic trick that I just one day came up with. This is the best way to do it. This is the optimal way, my friends. So let it go. Let it clean itself. She's gonna take care of herself just fine. It's going to get everything from around the edges. It's going. It's picking up all the debris. I'm just going to wipe off the sides. In the meantime, and that's it. Guys, guess what? Your blender is basically clean. All you gotta do now is just rinse off the water. That's how simple it is. That's how easy it is. You don't have to go into the brush. You don't have to get into the sponge. It does not have to be annoying at all to clean up a blender, everybody. It can just be that simple. It can be that easy. Scrape down the sides of your sauce. And look at this beautiful sauce that we're making together, everybody. It is rich in color. It is going to be rich in flavor as well. I can give it a little taste at this stage, in fact. Give it a little taste. Ooh. Everybody, that is getting there. It has a little bit of oomph. It has a little bit of heat. It is nice and sweet. Okay? And I'm going to finish cleaning the blender now. Get that out of sight, guys. Get that out of mind. Remember, when we got passive time, we clean as we go. Always, always, always. Please and thank you. That's clean. Beautiful. And I'm just going to rinse it off now. Get all that soap. Get it all. I love my Vitamix, guys, and that is how you make them last a very proper, long, long time. Okay. Almost done. I'm just getting the last of the bits from around the sides, from around the edges. Once again, guys, I apologize that I'm stepping off frame to do the dishes. One day or another, we will have a proper sync camera. But today is not that day yet. It's going to be quite a while before we get those kinds of upgrades, though. Okay, lovely. Blender is done, so I'm going to put him away, too. That sauce is going. Looking really, really good at the moment. Just a gentle heat, everybody. You don't want to burn the sauce. You don't want to scorch the sauce. These are really beautifully toasted chilies. So every so often, you're just going to get in there and you're just going to scrape up the bottom of the pan. Scrape it up, scrape it up. We're cooking out the raw chilies, everybody. We're cooking out the raw onions. We're cooking out the raw garlic. And it's going to be incredible by the end of it. But you have to scrape up the bottom and you have to scrape up the sides as you go. Delicious. Okay. So I gotta get this blender out of here. I'm cleaning as I'm going. I'm moving, I'm prepping. We got the mushrooms to do. We still have the tortillas to do, my friends. This is a busy day. I loaded up the stream today. I hope you all do not mind at all. Okay. So here's what's gonna happen. We are going to do the wet mushroom cooking method. I'm going to teach you guys all about it. I'm going to show you how it's done. And we're going to get to it. So, in fact, let's actually just do a little recap session while we have a second of time. Everybody, we're making 3 things. Camarones a la Diablo. We're making mushrooms and poblanos under cheese. And then we're also going to be doing some homemade delicious tortillas. We currently have on the stove my chili sauce made out of guajillo chilies, out of onions, out of garlic, a little bit of oil, some chicken bouillon powder, okay? We toasted the chilies, we have cumin, we have oregano in there, Mexican oregano. We toasted it, we ground it. Awesome. Well, we didn't toast the spices, but anyways, we cut up the poblanos, we cut up the mushrooms. We're going to do the wet mushroom cooking method. We're going to be grating the cheese. We're going to be making the tortillas. Everybody, today is a heck of a busy day, I have to say. So, I'm going to go ahead and move a thing or two around. I'm going to make us a little teeny tiny bit of space, and we're going to move on with all of the stuff that we need to do. The first step is, of course, going to be the mushrooms. I'm going to take these guys and add it to the back burner. So, for the wet mushroom cooking method, it is exactly as my name suggests. Mushrooms and water before we begin the saute. What does that mean? Why are we doing this? Why am I going to be flooding a pan of mushrooms with water if I'm sauteing them? I need you all to listen. I need you all to tune in. I need to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, please. And thank you. Mushrooms are one of the most misunderstood and poorly done things in a home kitchen, quite frankly. A lot of people do not understand how they work. When they go in to saute a mushroom, they oftentimes end up with mushrooms that soak up all of the fat in the pan. They put it into hot fat. They add the mushrooms and it soaks it all up and they have no idea what's going on. Let me tell you something right now. Mushrooms are like sponges that are super saturated with water. When you cook the mushroom, it squeezes out a lot of its additional liquid. It stops sauteing. If we were to saute it in oil, with a little bit of heat, the pan becomes wet. The water evaporates, but then the mushrooms, they actually start soaking up some of the fat around them. Because at that point, the mushrooms, they release so much of their liquid, they also want to absorb some of it back. So what we do instead of the mushrooms absorbing a whole bunch of oil, all that I do is I take the mushrooms, I add in a splash of water just to stop them from sticking to the pan, because a carbon steel pan is going to be used for the tortillas, shark dog. Okay? A splash of water just to stop them from sticking, to stop them from burning. We're going to let the mushrooms come up to a boil. We're going to steam them, collapse them, release the lid, and let the water evaporate. And they're going to be delicious, and they're going to be perfect, and they're going to be phenomenal. So that has to go, that has to happen. I'm going to be putting that to a separate area on a different burner. And I'm just stirring up my sauce in the meantime. I know you guys can see it back there. That just has to cook for a good amount of time. And I'm just going to give that also a little taste. I'm going to give it a little taste, see how that's going. The onions and the garlic are beginning to cook off. A lot of their harshness, a lot of their raw flavor is beginning to exit the premises. I'm going to get these mushrooms onto this stove. The carbon steel pan is where the tortillas will happen. For a carbon steel pan, you want to heat it up low and slow. Medium, low heat. And we got to get it nice and evenly heated, my friends. We're juggling a lot of things. We have a lot going on at the moment. So we're staying busy. Now, how do we make tortillas? The dough is fully soaked. The dough is fully hydrated. My tortilla press is ready to go as well. We're going to divide the dough up into balls, roughly 22 grams each. We're going to flatten it. We're going to set it down. We're going to then steam it in a bowl afterwards. Let's get my station ready, everybody. So this stuff, let's put it away. All of this, I gotta get it put away. I gotta get it put away because I have to make some space. Now, this is the bowl that I originally used for the mushrooms. Honestly, I think I could just give this a little wipe off. Wipe it off, and that is going to be just fine as a vessel to steam the tortillas in. Once the tortillas come off of the pan, they do need to be covered. They're going to be covered, and they're going to be allowed to steam, and that way, my friends, they're going to get nice and properly flexible. Medium, low heat on the carbon steel pan. A nice clean, this is a clean kitchen towel. It looks the same as the other one, but this one is clean. Kitchen towel. Awesome. Done. Next. Also, Andy Lowe, welcome on in. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. My sauce is going. I'm just going to get in there, and I'm going to just slightly stir it up. Stir it up, stir it up, stir it up. Awesome. Mushrooms coming up to a boil, collapsing. Where is my dough? There is my dough. She has been waiting for me patiently all this time. Where is my tortilla press? Oh, but ready to go, of course. Okay. So, we're going to do a little golf ball. We're going to flatten it. Maybe not a golf ball, maybe like a walnut. Okay? Sized ball of masa. Thank you. Good to be here. Well, I'm happy to have you here, Andy. So, bowl for the steaming is ready to go. We're going to have to go ahead and divide the dough. The carbon steel pan, to ensure that it is heated evenly, you want to heat it up slowly for an extended period of time, my friends. 5 minutes, 6 minutes at the very least. If you set it onto a high heat, you will immediately have developed hot spots and cool spots, and we do not want those, because then the tortilla is just not going to cook evenly at all. A ping pong ball, maybe that's too big, Turina. Too big still, too big. Okay. I need to try making these tortillas. It's hard to find gluten-free stuff that isn't expensive. Yeah, I mean, corn tortillas, of course, are naturally gluten-free, if that is a dietary restriction that you have. Okay, so let's divide. I like to use my bench scraper for this, or you could also just use a plain old knife. Honestly, either or is fine. So I'm just going to take it. I'm going to cut in half. I know I'm not doing this on a cutting board, not the best form, but that's okay. And we're just going to keep cutting these in half and subdividing again and again. And we'll see how many tortillas we can make from this batch. So here we go. Next one. Well, get into a nice ball. Something like that. And cut it. Beautiful. And cut it. Amazing. And I think these guys we can cut in half one more time. And that is going to be the size for 2 perfect tortillas. There it is. That's a good tortilla. That is going to make a good tortilla. Awesome. Let's get it done. Cut them in half. And we're going to keep it covered with a plastic wrap just to make sure it does not dry out in the meantime. Now hold on a second. These guys are looking quite big. We're going to need to adjust them ever so slightly if one of them is too big. Okay. Roll it up, and let's see what we got. That one's a little bit big. This one is just right. This one is just right. Just right, just right. Awesome. Honestly, I think it'll be okay. 8 tortillas exactly today is how many we're going to be making. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so, I'm going to keep it nice and freshly covered inside of the plastic wrap until we're ready to work with it. Again, you do not want your tortilla to dry out. In the meantime, you don't want your masa to dry out, my friends. Okay, so here's the order of operations. Here's how this has to happen. I'm actually going to get this going horizontally, like this. Okay, tortilla goes on. It's going to get nice and flattened. You don't want too much pressure. Too much pressure, it's not going to flatten evenly, and it's going to be too thin. Today, I'm going to be experimenting with slightly thicker tortillas. I think I've been making mine actually a little bit too thin. So today we're going to be doing some experimenting because I'm going after the perfect homemade tortilla. So my chili sauce, I have to give it a stir. I'm still waiting for the carbon steel to fully and properly preheat. My mushrooms are collapsing at this stage as well. Excellent. We got a lot going on. We got a lot to juggle. Keep up, everybody. I know I'm keeping up somewhat. And if I'm keeping up, you can keep up just by watching. Give that a taste. That chili sauce, the bitterness, the harshness is beginning to leave. Okay, masa goes on right into the center. Other sheet of plastic, you can use a shopping bag, you can use a Ziploc bag. There's a lot of different options that you have. Okay, take it, flatten it gently, my friends. You don't want to put too much force, and you don't want it to be too thin. Okay, there you go. This guy, I'm just going to slightly tap the other side to even it up. Beautiful, that's it. Now the question is this the right thickness? I guess we'll find out. Is my comal, is my carbon steel pan preheated? I believe so. So, let's go back to the stove. This first one, guys, it might be a disaster, it might not be a disaster. I think I've not been cooking mine long enough. I'm gonna be trying to push closer to 30 seconds or so, and we'll see how it goes. So, sip of water, thicker tortillas this time. And everybody, without any leavening agents whatsoever, we might even be able to achieve a puff. Also, Sheeny does things. Thank you so much for the sub. That is very, very sweet. That is very kind of you. We might be able to achieve a puff if we are lucky today. Well, not if we're lucky. If we properly manage everything, of course, we will be able to achieve a puff. So, let's hope. Let's get our fingers nice and crossed. I'm going to go ahead and set a timer on my phone. Roughly 20, 30 seconds or so. Each side. It's all going to depend. If we dry it out too much, it's not going to puff up properly. Chef, is there lead on the carbon steel right by the handle? What do you mean, lead on the carbon steel right by the handle? I don't believe so. No, I don't think that there is. Okay. It was the camera reflection? I see. Okay, that chili sauce though, guys, ooh, she is getting delicious. I'm just gonna go back in there and stir her up a little bit. Just stir it up, stir it up. Awesome. Awesome sauce, literally. Ugh, that was a little bit cringe. Okay, tortilla, I want you guys to watch what I'm doing with my hands. I'm taking it, I'm peeling off the plastic. The tortilla, it's just going to go right on like this, onto the lengths of my fingers. I'm starting the timer, and I'm laying it on just like so. I think that one was a little bit thick. 25 seconds per side. If it properly cooks, it's going to naturally detach itself. Once it naturally detaches itself, right? I can feel it just by moving it around, guys. It's still sticking ever so slightly. Once it starts gliding, that's usually a pretty decent indication. Once the edges start drying out, you're gonna see the edges dry out properly. Okay? There you go. This is ready to flip. Gently picking it up with a spatula, flipping it over. Next side, 20, 25 seconds. Guys, I wanna see it puff. Everybody, chat, I wanna see it puff. I wanna see a proper puff today. Will we have a proper puff is the question. Well, we're just going to have to find out, won't we? Okay. Flip it. Will we get a puff on the first one? And I don't think so. I don't think we're getting any puffing at all. And I don't know why. Maybe we cooked it too long. Oh, guys, there's so many different reasons a tortilla does or it does not puff. It is so infuriating sometimes. Sometimes you just want to give it a little flattening, and that also helps it out. But in this case today, guys, I think my edges are ever so slightly puffing up, but this guy, he's looking like a no puffer. A tragedy, honestly, but what can you do about it? The edges, though, I have to say, did puff up nicely. Maybe that one was a little bit too thick. He might have been a little bit too thick. So, why didn't it puff? It is coming up a little bit here. It could be a lot of different reasons. It could be that my dough was too thick. I think I might have been a little bit too thick with this one. That's a very strong possibility. That's a thick tortilla as far as they go. But I am experimenting with slightly thicker ones. It could be that we cooked it too long. It could be that we cooked it too little. I honestly think that I cooked it on the first side a little bit too long. I should have just gone for the flip as soon as it detached. Everybody, Next one. Next one happening now. So no puff. You gotta get the right humidity. It has to be there. Always the first tortilla does not come out exactly the way that you want it to. Smash it. Gentle smash, okay? Flip it around. 90 degrees. Beautiful. And gentle, 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 gentle. Soft, okay? Be very gentle with her. She's delicate. She's a delicate flower. Wonderful. Okay. Reset. Let's start this again. Let's go. This tortilla, yeah, we'll give it a shot. I'm experimenting with thicker ones to see if they're going to puff better at all. But honestly, these are way too thick, for sure. Okay, on it goes. Roughly 20, 30 seconds. We'll find out. Especially if they're thicker, they should theoretically be able to take a slightly longer cooking. My chili sauce is thickening beautifully. I'm just lowering the heat even more on that. Okay, it has been on for 20 seconds. It's not gliding yet. It has not detached itself. So that's still going, but now it has. Okay, beautiful. And flip it. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. I think I didn't cook the second side long enough. Everybody, pray with me. Please. I need this to come out well. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see. Okay. And on. It is not puffing in the slightest. Well, actually the edges are quite nicely. In fact, I think those might be my thinnest parts of the tortilla. Hence why that is getting a very, very slight puff. Now, I'm curious, if I cook the second side longer, we might be able to get it. There's a few things potentially going on. It could be too thick. I could have not cooked it long enough on the second side. If I didn't cook it long enough on the second side, it wouldn't be able to properly trap that moisture in. So let's put it back on this side now and see what happens. Nothing. Nothing at all. The pan is too dry. It needs oil. Motorbike Dan, you do not need oil for the tortillas. That is not the cause of puffing, or not. Because of how thick they are. And now it's just now beginning to get a little bit of color on it. I still got a feeling, guys, I got an instinct in me telling me that that second side, not long enough. I exclusively cook flour tortillas and they puff up. Well, that's because that has, wait, guys, hold on. I saw some puffage in the center. I saw some of it happening. I think my theory is correct. Okay, I saw it beginning to get a little something going. I think I did not let it cook long enough on the second side. I think that's what I actually have going on here. It's either too much or it's too little. I think the first side I got was perfect. I'm gonna smash the next one. Pray with me. Pray with me, everybody. I really want to get this puff down. Prage. That's right. Okay, next one. It's gonna be going on. Beautiful, it's on. 2 seconds, about 20, 30 seconds on that first side. Until it naturally detaches. Chili sauce, what's happening, man? Ooh, beautiful, 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 beautiful color, yeah? Okay. Still a little bit stuck. Still not totally there yet. There we go, now. I got a feeling that this is gonna be the one. I keep saying that each time, but we'll find out. Please, please everybody. It has to be. Patting the edges usually does help with some of the puffing. Okay, Okay, hold on. I'm getting very slight leavening. I'm getting very, very slight, the ittiest, littlest, tiniest bit of it rising to the occasion. Patting it has been helping. The tiniest bit. But it's not a big puff. It's not a big, beautiful, dramatic puff like I'm looking for. Am I still not cooking that second side long enough? I have a feeling that I'm not. Put that back. That's my instinct right now talking. Maybe it has just been too long. Because that's definitely coming up in those places. Guys, like you can see it bubbling up. Little puffs, but I want a big dramatic one. So the answer is not yet. We still haven't cracked it yet. Oh well, we're gonna keep trying, but we're beginning to get there a little bit. So, maybe the tortilla isn't afraid enough to puff up. Maybe I have to trigger its fight or flight instincts, true. Get a little bit terrified for its own mortality, for its own life. All right, we're gonna keep trying, guys. That's the only thing that we can do. Is it any different if it doesn't puff? The texture is not as good, Adam. When it puffs, the inside of it properly separates. It's super, super fluffy. You want it to puff almost like a pita. So, next one, gonna be going on. Why is the big middle puff better than the medium all over puffs? Because doing it that way, you get that really nice like separation. If you were to almost like rip it in half like a pita, that means that the inside is nice and properly done. So this has not detached itself yet. Once it detaches itself, again, good indication usually that she is ready, or when the edges look like they've dried up, okay, that's ready. That's nice and hydrated. Get it on, get it on, get it on. Ooh, my mushrooms, I gotta take those off the heat. Okay, let's do this with less time. Let's see what happens. What happens? What happens? Will you puff? Is the question, please. With less time, does it puff at all? And the answer is no, not in the slightest. Guys, I'm very frustrated. Today is absolutely not my day when it comes to these tortillas. Maybe I didn't cook that second side long enough. Ugh. One day I will get consistent, perfect puffs, and then you guys will never ever hear the end of it. This guy is now much too dry to puff up anyway. That is for certain. Although, I mean, look at it. Look at it happen. Look at it go. A little bit, right? A little bit here, a little bit there. Okay. Well, everybody, it's not my day today with these tortillas, I must say. A bit of a tragedy. Chef hasn't tried not poking the puff yet. Well, you're supposed to flatten it. And that's right, Chefy Chef. Nothing better than a seasoned cast carbon steel pan. Oh yeah, they're beautiful. They are works of art. I think I smashed that one a little too hard, but a little tap. Maybe we aren't on the Tortilla Plus payment plan. We might not be, Askia. You are right. We need to pay premium for that privilege. On she goes. Nope, not detached yet. Still going. Still needs another second. Once that edge dries up, we should be able to move it around. Okay. Let that go. Give that a little bit. Pray with me. Please. I just want one puff. I just want one puff, man. And yet, today is not my day for such a thing, is it? I also believe that my chili sauce is finished cooking, which is excellent. So I can take that off the heat. Yep. What can I say, guys? I wanted to try doing a thicker tortilla. Wanted to see what would happen. Okay, so let's do a slightly lower heat for a longer period of time. We'll give that a shot. But still nice and flexible, though. Hey, tortilla expert here. They only puff up when they're distressed. Thank you, Askia. Very comforting. 3 more tortillas to do, my friends. Are we all watching? Are we all keeping up? I know it's a little bit repetitive. I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. We got to finish up. We got to finish strong. I think we should do a little thinner. We're going to experiment with slightly thinner ones now. I have a feeling that the width of it is definitely contributing to the status quo. Because this is even worse than before. This is like negative puffage. Non-existent. Give that a second. What's supposed to cause the puff? It's supposed to be just flexible enough that it steams up almost. And it steams up from the inside, but the outside is not so dry that it cracks. So once this bad boy releases himself, there you go. Excellent. Second side. Kiss that second side. Kiss it. Tuck it in. Good night. 20 seconds. A few more, and we'll put it back on. You think we need? I don't think it's the actual amount of hydration, Serena. I think my hydration for this was really, really good. I think I had just enough water. I think I had just enough moisture in there. Oh well. Higher heat could be, you know, it could be a higher heat issue. Yeah. Very well is a possibility. Oh well. It could be a million different reasons, guys. You know, it's the time, it's the width, and it's the time per side. There's just so much going on here. I've really enjoyed your cooking streams. I think you found a good niche. Keep up the awesome content. Why, thank you, Fizz Ices. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, I'm still doing commentary. I'm still going to be doing the Brawlhalla commentary. I might be at a Smash thing soon, by the way. Heads up if you're coming in from that. But thank you. We're frying ham now. Not quite slothra. We're still on the tortillas. Yeah, it's very nice of you. I hope you're enjoying your day today. Okay, we have 2 more tortillas that we could give this a shot for. Okay. Maybe the goal is just to go really, really thin. I gotta do more experimenting. Now, if I wanted to be really good about this, I would use like an infrared to see the exact temperature of my pan. That's if I wanted to be like very exact about this kind of thing. Throne, I think I have one. I have like a really, really old one laying around somewhere too. So after this, we just have 1 more tortilla left to go. It just got used as a cat toy. I see, Tuna. Why is this not detaching itself yet? There it goes. Okay. And flip. And let's just do an early flip to see what happens instead this time. If we get any puffage at all. This might be the worst tortilla day I've had in a long time, guys, because I'm not even getting any amount of puff whatsoever. I guess that's happening over there, but still. Rough day for the tortilla fan, I must say. Okay, we got one last one to do after this. We'll get this guy pulled off. Into the bowl. Last one. And they'll still be fine. They'll still be tasty. They're just not going to be the ideal tortilla. And that's okay. I'm going to try a very well smashed one. Okay. And here we go. If this last one is good, I'm going to be a little annoyed. Oh, only a little bit, I guess. Thanks for sticking with me along through the ride. And we have a little bit more cooking to do after this still. Not ready, not detached. You know, I think I'm cooking the first side plenty long enough. I just have no idea how to judge the metric of how long to cook that second side. Maybe I should just kiss it with the heat. You know? Because the first side, you know, I know, of course, like when it like starts like detaching, when it starts gliding, that's usually a good sign that she is okay. But I don't know what that second side. Okay, there we go. Like, I don't really know what to really look for besides, you know, purely the vibes of it all. Yeah, that guy, way too overcooked for it to puff. Definitely not flexible enough. She is not going anywhere. That is bordering on tostada territory. Everybody, not the best day today for the tortilla fandom, for the tortilla nation. But thank you all for sticking along the ride anyways. I gotta keep doing more research. You know what would be great? If somebody here has like a Mexican grandmother that could come to my home and teach me how to better do this. That would be good. So, my tortillas, they will be at best satisfactory. And that's okay. They're still gonna be edible, they're still gonna be consumed, and they're still gonna be delicious. Everybody, let's go ahead and clean a few things up. And we're going to go ahead and finish up the mushrooms. We have to cook the shrimp still, of course. I'm gonna go ahead and get my tortilla press properly put away. Up she goes, up she goes. Thank you. Awesome. All right, Count JP. I know you saw that post. I know that you did. Oh my God, that is a crazy TikTok that you've referenced. How do you remember that? Okay, everybody, let me show you my red chili sauce in the meantime. This is it after it cooked down for a good amount of time. You can see its beautiful, deep red color. We're going to season this with a little bit of extra salt now. because it's not catching up there in terms of how much salt it needs. So a couple of pinches goes in. Let's mix in the salt, and then we're going to taste it. And we want to make sure that it is nice and properly seasoned before we, of course, add it into the shrimp for today. Look at that. Look at that. Excellent. Give that a little taste. A little bit more salt. And also, I forgot to mention, I don't actually have a Mexican hot sauce. I'm just gonna be using some Frank's Red Hot. I know this is sacrilegious. Guys, for anybody watching, you know, please forgive me for that, but it's still gonna be delicious. A little bit of extra acidity from it is also going to be quite delicious. But I'm gonna mix in some more salt. I added a little bit of the hot sauce in. Taste that. Why would that be wrong? Just because it's not really the traditional hot sauce that would be used. I'm in pain. There you go. You see, that's an example. So look away, Shy Chica. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit of extra acidity. And another nice big pinch of salt goes in. I want this properly seasoned. I want this sauce nice and delicious for today. Let's give that a taste. Everybody, that is lovely. That is a little bit spicy. It's a little bit acidic. It's very, very flavorful. It is super rich. Wonderful. And we're going to put that aside. So, we still have some work to do. Don't forget the black pepper. This does not need black pepper, Count JP. It's going to be more than okay without it. Black pepper does not actually need to go in everything 100% of the time, contrary to popular belief. So, here is my mushrooms. They've collapsed. They're now going back onto the heat. They're going back onto the heat. I'm taking a silicone spatula and moving them around ever so slightly. I'm scraping up the bottom, my friends. So here is the goal. We're going to evaporate the rest of this liquid, and then we're going to add a nice big chunk of butter along with some salt. They've collapsed. They're ready to be sauteed very, very shortly. So I'm just getting my butter out. I'm getting that ready to go. We still got work to do. We still got to grate that cheese. We still have stuff to get done. Okay, you don't want that pan to be bone dry, because then all of that fond, all of that mushroom stock is just going to squelch down there. And also, I'm going to show you my tortillas as they came out. Look at them. Again, guys, not ideal, not the world's best, but still really lovely. Look how flexible a freshly made tortilla is. There is truly nothing else like it. So that component is just totally done, and I can just put that away. Awesome. Okay, to the pan. So we're beginning to hear that sizzling. The water is almost totally evaporated. Again, if we let the shrimp go by itself like this, it would just end up squelching on the bottom. I'm going to go in with a nice big chunk of butter. Nice big chunk of butter going to be going in, and we are going to be entering the sauteing process now. We're going to add in a nice big generous pinch of salt. We want these mushrooms to be proper and deliciously seasoned, my friends. And we're going to get them properly cooking. Okay. Making a little bit of space. Moving stuff around me, moving stuff behind me. Gotta get my cilantro out. Gotta get some lime wedges out. Chef, is your salt cellar a full quart? Yes, it is, Turina. It's not the most convenient, but I'm using what I have. It's just a little glass jar that I had laying around. I can't believe you haven't seen it before. Okay, scrape it up, guys. Scrape up the bottom, scrape up those sides. Now, we actually get to begin properly sauteing the mushrooms. We started out with a whole bunch of it. We started out with such a big volume, and now it has cooked all the way back down. So, what do we have left to do? Let's slice up a couple of lime wedges, and let's get my cilantro ready. The cilantro is going to be used as garnish for both the mushrooms and the shrimp itself. I know we were a little bit all over the place. I know that we were doing a lot for a second there. But it's all gonna be okay. I'm just gonna get this pan out of the way. Look at those mushrooms, my friends. Look at those mushrooms. Okay, cilantro time, okay? Let's go. I'm gonna get a nice handful of fresh cilantro. And as always, the way that I keep it fresh, after it's been washed, after it's been cleaned, Tupperware with a little paper towel. Awesome. This again, it's gonna be used for garnishing. The shrimp, it's also gonna be used for garnishing the mushrooms and cheese. Away it goes. Get my cheese out as well. Guys, let's pluck it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm sorry, Shy Chica. My fault. We're all coming together though. It's all coming together. Just pluck that cilantro. Get it off the stems. And while it's sauteing, guys, you can hear it sizzle. And now the mushrooms are getting nice and brown. They're getting properly cooked. I keep saying proper. I'm just going to get in there, and you see all of that fond, all that delicious stuff. Scrape it off the sides. Scrape it off the sides and get it back in with the mushrooms. They're getting nice and golden. Beautiful, beautiful. They're sizzling away. They're gonna be really, really tasty. And they didn't soak up any of the oil. That's why we did the wet cooking method. Again, you know what to do. We're just getting those stems off. I don't like the stems. I find them a little bit fibrous. How's my Sunday? You know, Sheenie, my Sunday is preparing for the cooking show. I had 2 friends visit me though. I had a few friends that had a layover in New York from France visit me. So in the morning, we got some breakfast together, went to the bakery. And then ever since then, guys, I've just been getting ready for the show. Sunday's my show day. Sunday's my work day. Okay, everybody, the mushrooms, they're getting a really nice golden color on it. Just pull, just push and pull for a proper sauteing motion. Excellent. A bakery or a pâtisserie. It was just a Turkish bakery that we went to. Okay, cilantro. Get those stems gone. Get them gone, get them gone, get them gone. Awesome. French visitors, oui. Control yourselves, chat. No, I'm fine. We can make fun of French people as much as we desire here. Get those leaves. I'm messing up my bunches. That's okay. Back to the mushrooms, guys. Proper saute. There we go. Excellent. Almost done with this pile of cilantro. And then we'll get a nice little slice on it. Okay, get these stems out of here. Get them gone, get them out of here. And now everybody, let's check on the doneness of the mushrooms. They're fully cooked, but you can't actually really overcook them. You can keep them cooking. You can get them really, really nice and meaty. You can get them really nice and flavorful. Properly sear them, you know? So, I'm just going to go ahead and take a small piece. I can see the golden brown color that they've developed. And this mushroom, it is going to be so hot. I've made this mistake so many times before, especially because it's coated in the hot fat. You don't want to just eat it as is, for sure. It is a mistake. Delicious. That is really, really nicely cooked, everybody. That is meaty. That is delicious. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my poblanos. And we're going to hit it, of course, with some more salt. Poblano peppers and mushrooms. All of it coming together in unison. We don't need too much salt because it is going to be topped off with a bunch of cheddar cheese. So let's mix those peppers in. Let's mix the mushrooms in together. This is just gonna be a really simple dish, everybody. Really, really simple. Poblanos, mushrooms, salt, and cheese. That's it. Okay, now let's taste it for salinity one more time. She's ready to go. She's ready to be topped off with cheese. I have this little baking dish. This is what we're going to be loading the cheese up on. I'm just going to get it all in here, hopefully without making a mess today. That is the goal. Well, somewhat. I think we got there most of the way. Spread it out. Get that last little poblano in there. Get that poblano in, get that poblano in. Flatten it out. And now, this is good to go. This is gonna be topped off with cheese and put into the broiler, my friends. So, we have so little left to do. We gotta grate the cheese. We have to get the shrimp ready for searing. We're gonna season it with salt. We're gonna get it going. We're gonna get a nice beautiful color on it. We're gonna put the red chili sauce in. We have to finish the cilantro and we have to finish the limes. So, back to my cutting board. Cilantros. Take it, bundle it up. And everybody, super, super important, we're not going to crush it. We're not going to chop it. Instead, we're just going to gently slice it with the full surface area of your knife. And I need to hear another yes chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. Because if you chop it, you crush it, it's going to turn brown and it oxidizes and it makes your cutting board all wet. So instead, just bundle it up to the best of your ability. It's going to fall out a little bit, that's okay. Just slice it. Don't chop it, not a vertical motion. Just very, very gently, all the way through, like so. And give it a little rotation. And slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and slice it, and slice it. Excellent. And slice it up. And that is going to be it. This is all the slicing that it is going to need. I'm going to get this on a separate little transfer plate. Now, lime. Let's cut it up into some wedges. This is going to be for garnish later. This is just going to be for serving. Lime. Done. Beautiful. Okay. Now, I'm going to clean up a few things. Going to clean up one or two things. Get them out of here. Get them gone. Making space. Everybody, let's go ahead and grate up some cheese. How much cheese? I have no idea, but I want to top it with a generous, generous pile. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my gloves on. Also, guys, how do we feel about the length of the show? Because it's already 17 p.m. How do we feel about it being like a 2-hour stream, a 3-hour stream? I'm curious on all of your thoughts. Granted, I'm only asking the people that have stayed this long, so a bit of a biased group that I have here. But even then, I am curious how we feel about it all. 12 hours? Gotcha. All right, I'm going to start off with a small little chunk of cheese. I would watch a 24-hour stream. A Tomjin? I have no idea how people do those. Those sound crazy. Okay, guys, here's what I'd like to do. Box grater. Flat. I don't like to do it vertically because then you have to pick it up. This way, it keeps it all inside of the grater. Go, 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 go. Get it grated, get it grated. 2 to 3 hours is a good length, I think, but whatever works for what you're trying to do. I see, Raven. Well, what I'm trying to do is run a good cooking show online that's still digestible for people. I want to do it all live, but still within the confines of whatever, you know, you guys like. Okay, I think that's already a good pile of cheese. I'm going to go ahead and get my mushrooms and my poblanos, my friends. And all I'm gonna do, just directly on it, directly on top, look at that pile. I'm going to move it around, and I wanna make sure that there is no exposed mushrooms and that there is no exposed poblano. So I moved it around, and I think we're going to need a little bit more cheese. That's right, the horizontal grating method, my friends. It works every single time. Good timing? Okay, great. I'll ask in the beginning of next week's stream as well to get a vibe check of what the people, because you guys are, you know, some people come, some people go, you know. I just want to make sure that everybody is as well accommodated as they could be. Honestly, I still got this little chunk of cheese. I may as well just get it all done at this point. Okay. Okay. This is what they did with my brain. I see Count JP. Okay. Now, everybody, I think we can all agree that is a good ratio of cheese to vegetables. Isn't it? Oh yeah, horizontal, guess what? None of it sticks to the cutting board this way. Well, of course, a few shreds still. But, you know, okay, that's as much I'm going to be able to get out of this chunk. That's good. That's looking good. Awesome. Again, I wanted it topped off with a big chunk of cheese, as much as I could get. Well, fine. Let's see how much more we can get out of this piece. I like the black gloves. It's like a murderer is making cheese. Well, Starship Thesis? I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. I might. Okay. And all of it inside. Last piece is the chef snack. Well, I have quite a few chef snacks in that case. Oh. Oh. Why do I sound like Homer Simpson doing that? Oh. Okay. Done. It's topped off. It only has to go into the boiler. I'm going to wait. Because you know what we got to do? We got to clean. The sauce is done. The tortillas are done. This just needs to go under the boiler and nothing else. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly rinse off my cheese grater and get it thrown in the dishwasher. As always, everybody, when we cook at home, we absolutely must clean as we go. So get that gone, get that done. Get as many of those chunks of cheese off. And dishwasher dimension is her next destination. Okay, lovely. Cutting board, also gone. It's an Epicurean cutting board, so it is well suited to go into the dishwasher without any issues. But other kinds of wooden cutting boards, absolutely not. It is strictly forbidden because it will warp and destroy and damage your cutting board over time. And everybody, if you are enjoying the show so far, if you'd like to support the show, exclamation mark Patreon or exclamation mark tip and donate. And you can also sub and get some emotes and whatnot. Okay, I'm done with the cheese. Let's put it into the fridge. I'm gonna get it gone because everybody, I just want to make sure that my station is as clean and organized as possible. When we cook away from home, we leave the mess for somebody else, yeah? That's right, Starship. You got it. I don't love doing the dishes either, but you know what? We have to. That is the reality. We do have to do it. There is no way around it. Okay. I got my shrimp out of the fridge. I'm gonna quickly give my hands a little wash. I'm gonna get one pan out of the way. I'm not gonna use the carbon steel pan just because it can be a little bit fussy sometimes. But we're gonna see how the sauce comes out. We're gonna see how the red chili sauce comes out. Okay, guys, let's cook that shrimp. So, for the shrimp, super simple. We're going to be cooking it in butter. Again, I am inspired by how Rick Bayless, excellent chef on YouTube. He does a lot of really amazing Mexican food. He studied in Mexico for quite some time. Okay, I'm going to be simply sauteing the shrimp with a little bit of salt in the butter, and then we're going to flood it with the red chili sauce and finish it with some fresh cilantro. Let's get that pan preheated. On the stove we go. Now, I'm just gonna be using a stainless steel pan. I wanna get a nice beautiful color on it. But because of the fact that we're gonna be cooking with butter, I'm not gonna be using a high heat. Everybody, medium, low heat. Medium, low, we go. Wonderful. Now, let's go ahead and get my shrimp all prepped for today as well. Here's my shrimp. Here she is. Take a look, take a gander. So, everybody, when it comes to buying shrimp, I only buy frozen shrimp, and there is a good reason for this. I only buy frozen shrimp because that is the best way to ensure that you're actually getting the freshest shrimp possible. Contrary to popular belief, I buy individually quick frozen shrimp, and I thought under just some running cold water. Okay, super, super important. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get this onto a plate, and we're gonna go ahead and pat it dry. Pat it dry, season it with salt, and then into the pan it'll go with some butter. So, that's on. Now, I'm gonna get some gloves. Excellent. Just to make my life a little bit easier in my handling. Slowly heating up the stainless steel pan, guys. Medium, low heat, as always. We're gonna be cooking it in butter. These are gonna be some tasty little shrimps. I'm very excited to see how all of it comes out. Okay, salt, ready for the seasoning. So, one hand, I'm just gonna take all the shrimps, all of them out, and pat them dry. I got some large shrimp, the biggest ones that I could find. Well, they're not that big, but these are still gonna be perfect for sealing as needed. Okay. All the shrimp are on. Get as much of that excess moisture gone as possible, because it's just going to splash and it's just not going to properly seal once we get the shrimp on. Couch AP. That's right, all shrimp are big enough. Okay, wonderful. Now, heavily season it with some salt. Go nice and high so that it gets evenly coated. Flip it over, flip it over. Remember that your sauce has a little bit of salt in it. Okay, awesome. And once again, nice, generous pinch high up so that it evenly gets every single one of them. Evenly coats. Beautiful. Everybody, my shrimp are now ready for sauteing. We're gonna get a little bit of color on it. We're not going to cook it all the way through at the stage. We're just gonna get some color. And also at the same time, I'm gonna turn on my broiler for whenever it is time for us to melt that cheese on those mushrooms. But let me put that bowl away. Let me get that thing gone. Let me put it away. Let me throw it into the dishwasher. Again, we're always making space. Getting rid of stuff. That pan should be properly preheated at the stage. I'm just gonna wash up my hands one more time. Okay, let's go ahead and get the butter in the pan. Again, I had this at a low heat because if we add this on a high heat pan, of course, the butter is going to start burning, as you all may know. So, butter, how hot is it? Nice and foaming gently, okay? That's good. That's a good sign. I don't want it to hiss. I don't want it to become brown butter, okay? I'm just gonna add another proper chunk of butter in. It's gonna be buttery. It's gonna be rich. And it's also gonna be delicious. Nothing else is needed from the fridge. Don't even need my bench scraper anymore. Don't even need my fish spatula anymore. Okay. And I'm also gonna get my pile of cheese and peppers and mushrooms on a sheet tray. Everybody, it's all coming together. It's all coming together super quick, super fast. It's all happening. You gotta keep up. So, that butter, nice and melted now, okay? It does not need to be a really high heat for the shrimp. If it's too high of a heat, the butter is going to brown, and that is not a nuttiness, that is not a flavor that I am looking for today. And so what I'm going to do a nice medium heat at this point. We're just going to lay the shrimp in one by one. And I like to go clockwise so that I know in which order to actually flip them. Hopefully we'll be able to get them all to fit. If not, we'll find out. It's a little bit packed tight. I would have ideally done this in a slightly bigger pan and cooked up a few less shrimp. But honestly, you can never have too many shrimp, my friends. Get that plate gone as well. And now, we're just going to get a very, very nice light brown color on it. We're going to get them slightly seared. And it'll be perfect. It's in the pan, my friends. So yeah, honestly, I packed this pan a little bit too tight. Personally, I should have chosen a bigger one and given a little bit more space. I am not going to get the most amount of color on them because I do not want to overcook these shrimp. I want them to be very, very gentle. So I'm turning up the heat at this stage. Hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of color. If not, that is A-okay. We will be able to live. Come on, please flip. Please flip. Thank you. That took forever. Just get the best possible color that we can under the circumstances. Flip each and every single one of them. We'll turn up that heat. They're curling up. They're cooking. They are cooking, my friends. The shrimp's too large, pan's too small, or too many shrimp. Can be a million different things. But yeah, I slightly overcrowded it. That's okay. It happens to the best of us. But you know what? Even if it just poaches in butter, even if it doesn't get much color on it, guys, you know what's going to happen? It is still going to be really delicious at the end of the day. So, it's not going to get that much more color than this. That is totally fine. Because we are now about to just drown it in a nice high heat at this point. We're going to get, remember that red chili sauce, everybody. There she is, waiting for us patiently this whole time. Let's spoon it in. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. We're not going to need all of it, of course, but I think that should now be a satisfactory amount for the shrimp to poach in. And look at it go. Wonderful. Get it all coated. Get it all coated, everybody. There it is. There it is. There it is. And it's just going to gently, gently poach. Flip it around. Flip it around. Flip it around. And guys, this just needs a minute or two. You do not want to overcook the shrimp because you will end up with rubbery shrimp. Also, thank you, Epic One. Look at that shrimp. That looks pretty good, I think. Excellent. And now, everybody, I'm going to add in some cilantro, and I'm going to take a video of it while I do so, just because this looks so nice. And a little bit more. Everybody, that's it. That's all you have to do for the Diablo shrimp. It is fully cooked at this stage. Take it off the heat, turn it off. The mushrooms and the cheese will now go under the broiler. And we're going to get it bubbly and nicely, properly melted, my friends. It's not going to take too long, just right under the broiler. Look at that beautiful, beautiful plate of shrimp, my friends. Look at that beautiful pan of shrimp, excuse me. I'm very, very excited about it. We're just going to spoon it over the tortillas maybe. I don't know how we're gonna plate it yet, actually. I didn't really think that far ahead. I just honestly thought about how good it would look. Are these shrimps ready to be fed to the Diablo? Maybe sometime soon. I think we could just do like a little bowl. A little teeny tiny bowl of the shrimp somewhere. Wow. And I think that'll be just fine. And I'm just checking on the cheese under the broiler. Again, we're gonna get it bubbly. We're going to get it nice and golden brown, and then we'll go ahead and take it out. This though, move that aside. We gotta make space. Today, this is some of the richest food I've done in a while. It's buttery, it's decadent, it's cheesy. I was feeling something a little bit more fun today. Oh, that cheese, not fully there yet, my friends. I want it golden brown. I want it nice and properly bubbly. I want it nice and crusty. And then we'll see how it comes out. Is everybody excited? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. You'll see. It's all going to be here soon. I'm going to get a plate with a few of those tortillas on it, of course. We might even plate it up like a taco. We'll see. We'll see whatever looks best for the camera, honestly. Sorry guys, I'm becoming a content bro. I have to take such things into consideration all the time. Almost there yet for the cheese. It's almost there, everybody. Almost. Have a little sip of water. You don't want the cheese to split though. You don't want it to just become oily. You just want a nice proper golden brown on the very top of it. You want to see some slightly charred bits. It's almost done, my friends. Almost done. And then it'll come out and we'll be able to eat, and then we'll go ahead and we'll sign off for today. Really simple, but we did a lot of different stuff today. We did the tortillas from scratch. We did the shrimp. We did the sauce. And of course, these mushrooms and poblanos. Okay, I think that is just about ready to go in a second. A little tiny bit longer I would like to do. Am I making a Christmas meal? Yeah, we'll figure something out that's fun for next week. I don't know what yet, Count JP. I don't have an idea yet, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully give you guys some inspiration for what to do for your different respective Christmas dinners. And that has now come out. The cheese is properly melted on the top. We'll turn off the broiler. And we'll of course hit this with some fresh cilantro right over the top. And a little bit more. Okay. Hello, Daramgar TV. Been lurking, but I'm enjoying the stream. Ali, it is lovely to see you nonetheless. So this, hopefully, will be nice and cheesy. All of the poblanos, all of the peppers. Excellent. Very, very happy with that. Give that also a little look. Well, maybe not the prettiest dish in the world, but I'm quite, optimistic. That'll be delicious. Okay, guys, let's plate. Let's get it all nice and plated. Now, how would be the best way to actually serve this? Well, I think we should do this in a bowl. Again, it's just mushrooms and it's poblanos with a bunch of cheddar cheese right on top. There's no way that you could complain about this. Honestly, probably with cream, this would have been even better, but I was not trying to have it be too heavy for today. Come on. This is not the best scooping device ever, but that's okay. And let's go ahead and get some of the shrimp on as well. Onto my tortillas, and I guess we'll eat it like it's a taco. 5, 6 for myself because I'm feeling a little bit greedy today. Wonderful. And last but not least, a little fresh cilantro, and a wedge of lime. And we're off. Everybody, we're done. This is it. We have finished for today. Let's do one little recap session. So, over here, I wanted some poblanos. I saw some beautiful poblanos at the store. We charred those, got it smoky, peeled it up, cut it up. We sauteed some mushrooms. We mixed the two of them together, covered the top of it generously with cheese, and then we topped it off with some cilantro. Next, here is my shrimp and homemade tortillas. Homemade tortillas from a little bit of red corn. Then we made the shrimp. So what do we do for it? We toasted some guajillo chilies and we soaked it. We ground up some cumin, we ground up some oregano. We blended that together with some onion and some garlic, and we fried it all in a little bit of oil with some chicken bouillon. Then we poured the shrimp into a pan full of butter, gently poached it in the butter essentially. We poured in the red chili sauce, let it simmer for a little bit, finished it with cilantro, and put it onto my homemade tortillas for some of these lovely shrimp Diablo shrimp a la Diablo, camarones a la Diablo tacos. So I'm going to go ahead and have a bite. Come on, come over here, please and thank you. Although I really heavily loaded these up, and these shrimp are so big for the taco that they're just about spilling out, but that is okay. Fine, 2 shrimp per tortilla. That's good. If I had some raw onion, even better, but it's a little bit spicy. It's warm, it's flavorful. The shrimp is juicy. It's nice and tender. Guys, that is good. That is seriously delicious. And now, let's go ahead and try this out for a second. My mushrooms, my poblanos, and the cheddar cheese on top. I had a block of cheddar and I wanted to use it up. Cheers. That's delicious. Now, I wanted something simple. I wanted something minimalistic. I think for this dish, some cream would have been ideal. It would have helped it to brown up a little bit better inside of the oven. I think with a mixture of cheddar cheese and heavy cream, this would have been peak. That's good. Not as good as it could be. So there's some improvement to be there, to be had, that is. But the poblanos and the mushrooms together, guys, they're super delicious. The poblanos are so vegetal. They have so much oomph. They're so delicious. So some takeaways from today. I gotta work on my tortillas a little bit more. And I still wanna do some more work on my poblano dish. Yeah, a cream with it, a little bit of heavy cream as it bakes. I think that would really sell it over the top. But everybody, I'm done. That's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Next week, we're going to be doing a Christmas stream. I don't know what it's going to be yet. We'll still have to do a little bit of planning. Thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for being here. Every single Sunday, 5 p.m. EST. Support the show by going to the Patreon. You can do !Patreon in the chat. You can also do !tip or donate or also sub. Join the Discord, !Discord. We have a lovely community. If you want to go ahead and hang out with people, that's a great place to do it and talk about food. And until then, I will see you guys next week. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you soon.